Guapo. Many presents have been coming for your birthday.
German has the only presents I want. Guns. Guns, so that the name of El Guapo will be hanging on everyone's lips.
He will be here, Guapo. But I think you will like your other presents too. I have put many beautiful piñatas in the storeroom, each of them filled with little surprises.
Does anybody remember this movie? This is Three Amigos.
Many.
Yeah.
And what was El Guapo excited about? Guns.
Guns.
Guns. So that the name of El Guapo will be known. Guys, welcome to Hip Hop Citizen live stream show. I am the diva. These will be my views. And tonight with me is Architect 7. Architect, tell them where the people can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and you can find me on Facebook. I'm excited about this. Let's get this thing going.
I know you are. This is going to be guns. We have no specific agenda. We have no specific topic that we're going to stick to. We are going to be jumping all over the place tonight. If you are joining us, you know that we are going to be covering everything from 3%ers to militias to gun control, red flag laws, pretty guns. We're going to talk about why we should have them on the street, why we shouldn't have them on the street. So if you want to participate in this conversation, we are going to have the link to the live stream chat in our description boxes, in the comment sections. You're joining us live streaming on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook. We are ready to take your calls and questions and discuss it with each other in the chat, discuss it with us, but keep it cute or you get the boot. Management does reserve the right to kick your ass out. So we want everybody to be respectful and participate in the conversation that is very necessary for us to have in these times of America 2020. What is it, Architect? What's happening right now?
I'm sorry, I got a little bug flying around here. I'm sorry, what was the question?
What's happening right now? What's taking place in America in 2020?
What isn't happening in 2020?
What do I hate it when you say in a creepy voice?
What the what is it? What is it that
the awakening is happening?
Oh yes, the awakening is amongst us.
I hate when you do that.
What's going on, Damon Choppy Chop? What's up, Josh?
John Harp, you're hanging with us on YouTube. We see you guys. If you're joining us on Twitch, thank you so much. Give us a follow, give us a like. Make sure you like, follow, share, and subscribe. What we're doing is stalling, waiting for everybody to get into the live stream so that you can participate in this discussion as well. Now, I am not going to tell you that I am an expert. I am a citizen amongst you, just like everybody else. But what we're playing tonight is I'm going to play the novice, and Architect is going to play the person who tucks his guns in at night and kisses them goodnight and sings them songs. So those are the two perspectives that we're going to be coming from. We're also going to have great guests on the show tonight. We're going to be talking to Roman Townsend, Black Diamond Firearms and Training in Charlotte, North Carolina. It is a Black-owned gun club and shop that you can purchase from. I think we'll also have some other callers coming into us to discuss the issues that we'll be going over tonight, which are going to be many. We are going to have a plethora of issues that we'll be discussing. But let's get some housekeeping out of the way first. As always, you are listening to Hip Hop Live Stream Show. We are streaming on all platforms. You can like, share, comment, and subscribe. We'll have the link pinned in the comments for you to participate in the conversation. And we want you to be respectful while you do so. I turn my head to look at my notes so that you guys know that while I'm not an expert, I do research. I look for information. And we are going to be passing that information on to you guys so that you can therefore do the information, get the research, get the knowledge, and so on and so forth. We are going to pepper the discussion of gun control throughout the discussion. So it's not going to be all gun control for 10 minutes and then something else for 10 minutes. We're going to be talking about it as it hits us. And it relates to so many different topics in a wide ranging way that we're just going to talk about it at different points during the show. I've said this before. I'll say it again. Opinions matter. And while they differ, the reason that everybody's opinion matters is because it forms their behavior. And the opinions you have can affect someone else. So it's different from saying that Hawaiian pizza sucks, which it does. That doesn't affect how I can live my life in my pursuit of happiness. If your opinion is going to inform your vote, and then you vote on something that's going to affect me or my loved ones, then your opinion matters to me. And vice versa. What we're going to do is have a respectful conversation because that mute button and that block button does work. Therefore, let's jump right into it. Architect, Second Amendment.
What about it?
It was never meant for us Black people. So does it really protect us? Go.
Does it really protect you? Yes, and I also think it depends on the instance. I know that we kind of have the discussion amongst the crew when I stay out of concern because of everything that's going on. I keep telling you guys, arm up. And Juan comes back to me and tells me, as a Black man, if I own a gun, and I always counter to the point of it's your right. And maybe the forefathers at the beginning of it all didn't account for that to be the case. But it is the case now. And being that it is the case, I think that everyone should exercise that right, especially in this day and age with what's going on.
I am of the mindset, and I'm going to start right out being all girly and emotional about it because I want everybody to understand my perspective. This is going to be a long show, you guys, so get a snack, sit back, and relax. I am a novice when it comes to guns. I am 47 years old, and it is just in the past few years that I've gotten to start holding them, touching them, shooting them, being a little more comfortable around them. My background with guns comes from a domestic violence perspective. First time on the internet. I'm sure this will come back to haunt me at some point, but when I was growing up, guns meant violence in our household. And the last memory I have of having a gun in my life as a young person was being chased out of our home with my sister and my mother in our night clothes to run to the neighbor's house because my father had a shotgun on the porch threatening to kill all of us. And that is the last time I saw a gun. They came finally and got it from him, took it away. My family continued with that contentious marriage, and here we are today. So it was not ever a background of, being comfortable with them, learning how to use them and respect them and shoot them. I don't have that. So as I grew and got into other relationships, dated, bad boys and stuff like that and had guns around me, I never wanted them near me. Like, don't bring it in the car. I don't want to see it. If it's on you, tell your boys the same thing. I came from a place of fright when it came to guns. I learned it was something that could take your life. It was a violent thing, and to never have it around you. So that was just
kind of to piggyback on what you're saying. So I think that's part of the issue that we face, right? As far as culture in America, the overall consensus is, and I think it would probably be in most cases, as far as the Black community owning guns, all you ever hear about is the inner city issues with drive-bys and all the killings, and so a Black man with a gun is painted as very dangerous. And yet, even within those communities, because of exactly what you just said, because of the trauma that is created throughout the community because of those guns, the people that don't own them fear them because of the way that they were presented to them. Right. And I think for me, and I think that's why I'm always kind of kicking Juan's chair, like, arm up. To me, I think it's important that we get rid of that stigma. We have to get rid of that belief that guns equal danger. At the end of the day, when used properly, guns can be recreation, and guns can defend you and your family.
I will say, and I thank you on Twitch. I appreciate you guys. El Endifacifo and Fazuno. I appreciate your words. And of course, I'm older now, but it is a distinct memory. I can still see the porch light over his head, and I can still see the barrel. And those are the things, like Architect is saying, that stay with you. And so you don't want to involve yourself with something. What I grew up learning was that is something that can take a life. It is a big responsibility to have on you to be able to do that. So don't bring it in your home if you are not ready to have that on your heart and on your head. But I am coming into an age now, and of course the time period we're living in, where maybe it might be a good idea for me to have it in the car. Maybe it might be a good idea for me to have it in the house. the more things change, the more things stay the same. I'm sure they felt the same in the 60s. I'm sure they felt the same in the 80s. So I want to learn from a novice perspective what I can do to kind of reconcile my two experiences with guns coming into them. Because now I'm coming into, oh, my friends want to go to the shooting range for a couple of hours on a Saturday. Like, it's an activity for them now. And they want to go, like, you know, look at guns or something, or, you know, let's go to the gun show and hang out, girl. I'm like, can't we just go to the mall? Can't we go to the Louis Vuitton store instead? Like, so guns are an activity now for them.
Right. And I think for me, I'll say I've never been against guns. You know, I think any woman that I had been with was against the guns. I had always wanted one, but
Yeah.
to keep the peace, I never got one. But
Yeah.
as of recent, number one, with the way that Virginia's been playing with the laws that they've been trying to write, that kind of sparked some stuff within me, even more so recently. But what really triggered me to start pursuing ownership was, number one, my brother's door was almost kicked in by somebody who, in the middle of the night, that you know, who knows what the hell the guy wanted. It turns out he was strung out on drugs, this, that, and the third. However, you know, as men, we're going to defend the home. So my brother, unarmed, wants to go outside to fight this guy. So, of course, his wife is on the phone, and the person that's on 911 is saying, hey, no, don't go out there. You don't know what he has. And at that point, the odds are not in your favor when you start thinking in that context. Also, in my apartment complex, there's an apartment complex not too far from mine where a couple of apartments got ran up in. They did home invasion.
Wow.
And to me, I'm like, at this point, that's not going to happen in where I stay at. So that's what made me pursue ownership, and I understanding that safety is paramount. And I think that's what needs to be explained. That's what needs to be taught. That's how we need to be trained when we start thinking about firearms.
I think that you're right in terms of saying that the stigma needs to come off it. You need more than ADT and Ring cameras. I understand that in some neighborhoods. Thank you on Twitch for tuning in and wanting to have this discussion. Reminder that you guys can call in and discuss this with us at any point. Yeah, and so you are not in a development where the mailboxes are all on a corner and everybody's walking 15 dogs. Like, in some neighborhoods, you gotta be yourself, because when seconds count, the police are minutes away. So you have to look out for yourself. I understand that. But for someone like me who has not lived a life that has not involved the streets, maybe, and has not involved, you know, which you don't necessarily have to, but I haven't put myself in a position to need one. I've always operated under the premise that if I just look out for myself and keep myself out of those situations, I won't have to worry about it. That is not the case anymore. So on the line, we have with us Drake. Sir, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm here.
How you doing?
Hi. It's good to see you, and thank you for joining us. Are you with Roman?
Yes, with Black Diamond.
Okay. So he's going to be joining us in a little bit as well, and you're jumping in early. Did you want to contribute to the early conversation we're having right now?
No, I'm just kind of listening right now, see where everything is, and then I'll chime in.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put you in the green room with the blueberry punch. You enjoy that. We'll bring you guys back on. I'm glad everything's working.
For sure.
All right, that is Drake from Black Diamond Firearms. They are with a outfit here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they are a Black-owned business and shop, and they also offer training classes. So you guys check them out. We're going to put their website on our description and on the screen. So right now we've got Fred Thresher. Hi, Fred.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. It's good to see you. This is Architect 7. What can we do you for?
Nothing. I was in the back room waiting to come onto the show. I'm with the Survival Sisters. And
okay, I'm so glad you called in, man, because I became a follower of your page, and we got into the discussion. I said we have to have him on because you're a great example of what it should be, in my opinion, of how we should be bringing up the kids around us and letting them understand the value and the danger involved in it all. So.
Yeah, because I mean, most people don't understand. Like, even when it comes to kids, like I say, you know, curiosity is what killed the cat. Most kids, like I said, it's promoted on TV. on the radio and video, and there's a curiosity behind it. And we have to take that stigma away from it. Like, we have to take the negativity away from it. We have to change the narrative. If we don't change the narrative, it won't get changed. And everything that's associated with us doesn't need to be something negative. But it's like every time we try to integrate something, it becomes a negative stereotype with it.
Right.
With us, I think, even with girls, even with my girls, like, it's one of those things where I try to make sure that, like I said, there's no real nostalgia behind it. Like, this is just something we do. It's for sport, it's for shooting, it's for protection. That's what we do with them.
Right. And I think the main thing too is it goes back to what you were saying as far as the bigger negative narrative, especially when we're talking inner city. There's this idea that the whole area is full of criminals.
Yeah.
And that is not the case. There are hardworking individuals that live in those inner city environments, and they need the protection too from the same people that people in their big cookie cutter homes need the protection from. Like, let's not get it twisted. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And one thing that I've come encountered, even this is recently, my girls, they posted a video the other day, and like all these haters come out, talking about, because what has happened is that even, I'm just gonna say it, even with white people, they have however we perceive ourselves, they receive it that way. So they're receiving it as, oh, we're getting armed up to fight them. We don't care about you like that, man. Like, really, we don't. Like, my thing is, why can't we have it for sport? Why can't we have protection? Why can't we hunt? But the thing about it is, has it increased? It hasn't increased because, like I said, it's your right. People got to defend their rights. If we don't defend this right for the kids in the future, they won't have a sport to play with.
And honestly, that goes across cultural boundaries at this point. The way that's going, it's not even that as far as them trying to take them away goes. It crosses the color boundary at this point. You know what I mean? And so
I heard Ms. Diva, I heard her talking, and like one thing you were saying, I heard you when you were talking earlier. That's why we don't teach defensive shooting. We don't. We teach survival shooting, because defensive shooting is reactive. And and what you were talking about, like having that kind of trauma happen at an early age, it will do that to you. It'll warp you in that way, because that is set upon something. But what happens is when people teach defensive shooting, that's when you have that attitude that comes out when people say stuff like, well, if somebody do this, I'll do this, because you have a reactionary mindset. With a survival mindset, you're proactive. We're not looking for a fight. We're doing everything to avoid a fight. That gun that you carry is not for you to engage somebody. It's to remind you that you have an option about how you're dealt with.
Right.
Option. So you can take a higher path. You can take a higher path without your ego being attached to it.
There you go. And it's I have that conversation with a lot of family members who kind of give me the side eye, when I start purchasing different things, and I tell them, I say, I'm running before I do anything. I'm leaving. I'm avoiding. I'm doing everything to defuse. At the point in time where it has to come to that, because it's a last resort. At the end of the day, it's a last resort. Then but honestly, in my mind, even owning and knowing that I have that option, I already know that if they ever came to that option, I'm probably going to need help afterwards.
Exactly.
I'm going to need to go to a psychiatrist, because I don't want to see nobody go down like that either.
Your life is going to change. You pull a trigger, your life is going to change. People sit back and they say stuff like that. See, you may defend yourself. That's why I don't teach defensive pistol. Survival. Because one thing about, once you pull that trigger, I hope your money right. I hope you got, because it depends on how a person sees the situation. You could feel like you in the right, and he did this to you, and you can pull the trigger, but this witness saw something different. Now the investigator has indicted you on some kind of charges, and so you're gonna spend the rest of your life fighting. You're gonna lose your whole life.
We're gonna talk about that. Yeah, because that's
they're gonna charge you. They're gonna charge you. They're always gonna try to charge you.
Yeah, you're gonna get charged. So you gotta have your money.
I really hope that you brought up a good point. It's about survival, respecting it as a tool. And there's one thing that I always kept in mind when I was younger and coming up and dealing with people who continue to have guns. The reason I never wanted one is because, and I wrote it down, because it's the power to take a life. And I did not want that on me. I understood intelligently everything that it's for, but I just could not handle emotionally the idea that I would have done that, even if it meant my life.
Yeah.
And so I think that's an important point to make to people and kids. That is a powerful tool. You can't just be waving it around like videos and playing and things like that. It is a choice you make that will change you irrevocably.
Exactly.
But I think having that mind state too makes you a good candidate for owning a gun because you understand the
I have a
overall layers,
respectful fear. I have a respectful
as you
fear
should, as
of that.
everybody should.
Mhm.
You know, when you're handling, I think Fred can attest to this. It's always loaded, even when it's not, because you
Elijah, we see
understand
you
the magnitude.
up on the screen here. We're having a good discussion, and I'm glad everybody has come in to join us. We are a live call-in show. Right now, we're speaking with Fred Thrasher of what is your organization? Survivalist Sisters?
The Survival Sisters.
Survival Sisters. Okay, thank you. I'm not familiar. Architect turned me on to it, so I'm going to have to get more familiar with the organization. Elijah, are you there with us?
Elijah's.
Oh, we're getting a view of the closet? Okay.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, but
He's got some nice shoes. Okay, Elijah, when you're ready, just let us know when you're ready to come in. We're going to put you in the green room to get some punch for your throat.
So
And
Fred,
we're going to continue our conversation with Fred.
Fred, do you served?
No. I'm a true Georgia boy, man. We grew up doing this, and so. But my thing is you have to have respect for it. And like you said, I mean, everybody has a valid point. Like for you, you say you want to go to the range with your friends. I think it's a tool. It's just like a hammer or a screwdriver. Everybody should know how. You may not carry it, but you need to know how to use it, so you can have them.
Are you back? Are you back with us, Elijah? I know you just want to talk to us on the conversation that we're having.
All right. Hey, what's up?
Oh, hey, Elijah. Hi, welcome to Hip Hop Live Stream. You are talking to Architect 7 and Fred Thrasher with Survival Sisters. Let us know your thoughts.
What's going on?
I just found this on YouTube, so I don't really know what's going on.
Oh, goodness. Well, you know what? We are happy that you stumbled across our show, Elijah. Tonight, we are talking about guns in general. We are talking about gun control, red flag laws, how to purchase responsibly, carry responsibly. Fred Thrasher is here to talk about educating yourself possibly and responsibly on guns. Do you have a question for Fred?
Not really.
Okay, you want to just sit back and kind of listen to the conversation and maybe jump in somewhere?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you. Stay on the stream with us. Okay.
All right.
I love that. He just found us and saw the word guns and decided, okay, let me see what this is about.
So, Fred, when did you start introducing your daughters to firearms?
Between me and my brothers, they've been around their entire life. They grew up around them, and we started the education part first because we wanted them to have a healthy fear. Like there are a lot of things in our community, man. I don't want them to be affected by sex, drugs, guns. Like those are taboo in black communities, and those things that had to be talked about. So the education started with before they could walk, and once they started, like you said, dealing with them, manipulating them, then that was the curiosity part of, okay, now let me see what they do. So since they know what the end result of pulling the trigger is, they respect them. They respect them to the fullest. And that's what you have to do with your kids. Your kids don't have to go out and shoot. But I think the biggest mistake most parents make is they'll have a gun, they'll put it in a shoebox, put it in their closet, and the kid stumbles upon it. That should be a family talk. So that way the kid can understand, hey, look, this is a firearm and this is the end result. Take your kids to the range. Let them see what the end result of this does. Because what happens is, guess what? I'm not going to pull the trigger. They'll have the same resolve that you have when it's like, okay, I know that I have an option. If I do this, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
So I think as soon as they start, if you have it in the house, you should start as soon as you possibly can to make sure that they understand that this is not a toy.
Right.
I appreciate that completely. How old are your girls?
I have a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, and a 15-year-old.
Oh, okay. So they fully understand.
Oh, they fully understand.
Now, can they take them apart and clean them?
They can do all of it. They are in love.
Okay.
They are in love with firearms. They are head over heels. Like this is not even. It's probably not even a healthy obsession. But when I say they They like to run. They like to gun. They like to do all of it. They like night vision.
Oh,
They like
goodness.
thermal. They like it.
So whoever they marry better be ready, huh?
Yeah, I hope he really I hope he likes guns. They're gonna be.
So no shoes, just get me new holsters and new, new carry cases, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what they, because one thing my daughters told me, they told me that, she was like, Dad, I want to be a brand manager, for these different companies. So they got sponsors now that sponsor them, and they give them certain stuff. Matter of fact, somebody just gave my baby this right here for this the tactical games that they're having. So they were like, hey,
what's that?
It's a new scope for her rifle.
Oh, okay.
So the lady, one of the sponsors was like, hey, come in here and pick this up for her. And that's what they're into. So the people are giving them, they're giving them products, they're doing things, they're inviting them out to do different things. And they're having a ball. Like, they're having a ball. And they're always like, my friends want to come. And I'm just like, well, I can't take other people's kids anywhere. Like, their parents, they need to bring their parents, and then the parents need to be educated, and the kids do.
Right.
That's responsible. It allows you to have family bonding time. It allows you to spend time with your kids. But a lot of grown people, what they do is they have a problem with when they feel like they're an adult, they're unteachable. They don't want anybody to teach them. The first thing you hear an adult say is, yeah, my cousin was in the army, my cousin a cop, or my brother do this, or I know somebody do this. Everything except, can you teach me? So that's why with kids, like I would rather teach kids than adults, because adults are unteachable, because they don't want, if they're not good at it or feel like we're the same age and they should know what I know, they don't want to do it.
Right.
I think that's important, and I'm so glad that you are doing that with your girl. Are they in marksman competitions? Is that what it is?
They like the tactical games. Matter of fact, they're competing on the 18th in the IW Wells tactical games here in Georgia. They're competing there. Last year, my daughter, she ranked #1 in her age group, but she's competing with the adults this year because she broke her arm last year. But she's like, she got cheated, so she's like, no, they better watch out this year. So she's 13, but she is serious about the tactical games, and that's something that Dexter Porter, he started because there are not a whole lot of Black-owned competitions. So he wanted something that, like I said, people from different groups. It's kind of like being in Wakanda. Like here in Atlanta, like every Black gun club, they bring their best shooter out, and they run this tactical event. And it's one of those things where you see all these people out there, and everybody's representing their club. So it's wonderful. So she's like, well, it's them. So she's representing for her club.
Wow,
so it's gonna be good.
That is awesome. And go ahead and shout out if you guys have a website or someplace on Instagram where we can support y'all.
Okay, yeah. It's Survivor Sisters 3 on Instagram. It's The Survivor Sisters on Facebook and YouTube.
Okay.
Okay.
So I
you
hope
post up a
everybody's
lot
gonna catch that. And I'll go ahead, Architect.
Now you post up a lot of stuff on YouTube as well.
We post not as much as on Instagram. Instagram gives us a lot of, they give us a lot of positive feedback. There are a lot of on Instagram, there are a lot of the Second Amendment community, Black community is big on Instagram and on YouTube as well. But YouTube, I'm sorry, Facebook. Facebook, there are a lot of there's a lot of negativity on Facebook, but you can expect that. One of the posts that I posted, the one where they were shooting the windshield, it got like 350 something thousand views. So of course you got all the haters are talking about, what are y'all planning to do?
You're teaching them to be assassins.
Nobody cares about people like that. Like the windshield was available. They wanted to shoot it.
Right. Yeah. That's exactly how it works too.
It really can be that simple. It really is.
Yeah. They don't play with teddy bears anymore. So they shoot the teddy bears. It's not like
right.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
They're teaching to shoot Pooh Bear.
Listen, it's not my idea.
My Pooh Bear had to get it. Like what?
Pooh Bear has a lot of issues, so he gets it a lot.
Why?
But we have to make sure it's colorful, because the sad thing about, even when like I said, when other people see Black people with guns, they automatically want to associate them with something negative, like, oh, you're planning to do this. Nobody's planning to do nothing to you. Nobody cares. It's to prevent. It's prevent somebody doing something to us, do something to you.
Not Teddy Ruxpin can get it. No, Teddy Ruxpin cannot get it. Teddy Ruxpin did not ask for his life.
Teddy has been engaged a lot. He's been engaged a lot. He's still standing.
No, Faye Zuno and Endifiso. Don't say that on Twitch.
What's the use?
No.
You can't shoot if there's not a mark to hit. So you got to put something out there, and then you just start putting
At least give Teddy Ruxpin a fighting chance. Like at least give him a little shank or like a flak jacket or something. Make it fair.
Yeah, Teddy he usually has a gun. So Teddy is really. Teddy is
but
always
did you give him bullets though, or did you give him blades? Like, did you make it equal?
I mean, he is. You have to check the video out. Teddy is really formidable foe. You know, he's
all right. So you heard it here first. The Survival Sisters are hemming up Teddy Ruxpin. They're hemming up Pooh. They out here.
Yeah.
And Fred, we want to go ahead and keep you in the green room, or if you'd like to step off the stream and just listen for the rest of the time, we would like you to jump back in at any point. We have some other guests that we want to bring on right now, but we thank you so much. Shout out your girls and your sites one more time for the people that are listening.
All right. The Survival Sisters on Facebook and on YouTube. Survival Sisters 3 on Instagram. So.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Fred Thrasher.
Hey, so just so you know, man, the way that I found you through one of Brand Nubians member, Sadat X.
Okay.
Sadat X reposted one of your videos of me being a hip hop, and I said, "Hold up," and getting into the gun thing. I said, "Let me check this out," and I've been an avid follower since, man. It's good stuff.
Man, I appreciate it. I really do, and thank y'all for having us on, man.
No doubt.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to bring in Mr. Roman Townsend. Now, this is our guest, along with his partner, Drake, and they are with Black Diamond Firearms here and training here in Charlotte, North Carolina. They are a Black-owned business and a gun club and range. I'm not sure if you guys have a range, but we really want to big up them. We're going to put their website up on the screen so that you can get in touch with them for classes and for purchasing. And so, ladies and gentlemen, welcome the proprietors of Black Diamond Firearms. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks. What's
Absolutely.
up, Ron?
So, gentlemen, I know you've been listening. We haven't said too much. We've been like chopping it up with the gentleman, with Fred from Survival Sisters. He's teaching his young girls, educating them and letting them know what to do with firearms from a different perspective. I told a little bit of my story as a novice owner and what brings me to this point. One of the first topics we were going to dive into, though, was the Second Amendment, whether or not it protects us. But I'd rather talk about your experiences being a Black-owned gun shop and what you feel you can contribute to the community as far as gun safety and taking the stigma away.
That's a lot of questions.
That's Diva.
All right. Well, I will touch on that Second Amendment real quick. Architect, he stated it well previously, but just something to add. Not only was that Second Amendment not written for us, but it was written to ensure that Europeans could suppress African rebellions. So the roots in it of the Second Amendment itself is racist. So we were definitely intentionally left out of that. And if you look at a lot of other institutions, like I'm sure a lot of people have been to Charleston, but I didn't realize until I went there and took the tour, but the Citadel, they always talk about the Citadel and how great it is, but that again is an institution that was set up specifically to quell African rebellions. So, yeah. So on to the other parts. Drake and I, we've been doing this for 4 years now. No law enforcement background, no military background. We just brothers that decided to do this so we could present it from regular people's point of view. Because, you do get a lot of police and military, and they have a certain indoctrination. They're given a certain view of how things should be. And we are outside of that view. We are from a view of regular folks. So I think if you ask what we bring, regular Black men in America. I mean, we're not regular, but we Black men in America. And we given our experiences and how people should move or could move to be smarter, knowing that the system is definitely stacked against us.
And prior to you starting your shop, what have you, how long were you an owner and handling firearms?
Before that shop, I mean, even I grew up in upstate New York, so I always had BB guns, stuff like that. I can't remember not having something. And when I came down
Yeah,
here, North Carolina barely has any gun laws, so I picked one up as soon as I got here.
yeah. Myself. Yeah, I'm from Spartanburg. I'm from South Carolina, so kind of chiming off what Rome just said. I always been around guns, and maybe not for the right reason, but I got my own personal gun when I was 12. So and then I
Oh,
just
wow.
been yeah, but that's another story. That's another show. You know
Mm-hmm.
what
All
I'm
right.
saying? But I had plenty of guns since then, and so I always been around. I always been around them to some extent. My parents had guns, and so I always been around guns. Yeah.
Okay.
My question for you guys as shop now, are you guys trainers and you run a shop? You run an online store?
We've
Yeah.
been doing concealed carry for the past 4 years. We have an
Okay.
online shop, and we have a facility now where we're manufacturing ARs, and that will be open full time by next month. So it'll be a daily presence in that shop for people.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
manufacturing. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great. I
Nice.
mean, there needs to be more of that, more of our presence in that field. So that is great. I did have a question about purchasing and training for it safely. When you have somebody who is coming in, like Fred said, looking to be on the defensive side when they're purchasing, do you try to talk them into a different way of thinking, or are you just looking to make the sale and thanks for your money?
I mean, I
Go
heard what
ahead.
he said about defensive. I don't know if I necessarily agree. I mean, I get what he's saying, but we are telling people to use them defensively. It is defensive gun use. But like Architect has said earlier, we're still teaching people that because it's defensive, you're not going into any confrontation. You're always trying to get away from that confrontation, always trying to de-escalate.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm the same way. Like he was speaking. I didn't really want to get into a debate because I understood what he was saying, but but it's either offense or defense. So if you're going into a survivalist mind state, a lot of times survivalist moves towards offense, and so if I'm getting with individuals and I'm teaching them and things of that nature, then and sometimes I mean if you're talking about your family and the way you raising your family and how you want them to move, then sometimes it may be about offense. But we're dealing with the public, people coming in wanting to learn, wanting to purchase. Um, yeah, and then you're dealing with the law. If you're talking about the law, you're talking about concealed carry, you're talking about the law giving you the ability to protect your life. Yeah, that's defense. That's what that is.
So we got
But
a
I understand
question.
what he was saying, so I wasn't about to debate with him on it.
We got a
That's
question from inside the chat room. It says, are guns to defend against man or against government overreach, in
It's
your
to
opinion?
defend against anyone who is who makes you feel like who makes you feel like your life is in danger.
Thank you.
Whoever that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's if it's somebody like a governmental official or a police officer or somebody on the streets, whoever.
There you go. Yeah. And so
um,
I have this debate. Myself and one of our crew members have this debate all the time. When we start seeing a lot of the some of the stories that are coming out in the news, and my thing is always arm up, and and again, he stay, as a black man, it's not smart to do that. And I said, but that's you're missing the point. You're missing the point. It's like you're allowing. Basically, you're just giving the green light. You're saying you giving up. And I don't necessarily believe that one should think that way. That's just my opinion. I think if the right is there, own it. Period.
I
Well,
agree with that. Yeah,
the
yeah.
right is none of
Your
that.
life is worth defending against
Yeah,
anybody,
That's
whether it's
right.
legal or not. Defend your
that's what
life.
I was about to say. Regardless, I don't forget
Yeah,
about the right. If it's about your life, you defend yourself.
There
I
you
don't care
yeah.
go.
about the right.
And that's nature's law is self defense. Everything in nature defends itself from predators.
Everything.
And I'm not going to give that up based on a law that a man wrote or a religion that somebody gave me or anything. I'm going to defend my life and my family's life. That's
True.
my
Boom.
job.
True.
So another question that we have from someone is, who are we self-defending against? Are we defending against other Black people or just any old person?
Anybody who make you feel like your life is in danger, you defend yourself. It don't matter about what color they are, what they got going on, age. None of that matters. Not when we talking about just laying it blanketed across the board, defending your life, making sure that you straight, making sure that your family's straight. All the other stuff go out the window. All the other stuff I mean, I understand the times of what's going on and Black Lives Matter and all that. Now all that go out the window. What we talking about? This is before that came along and after that's gone. If you put in a
Yep.
situation where you need to defend yourself or your family, you do that. It don't matter who it is.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
at 3 in the morning, it don't matter who's kicking down the door.
That's right.
They
That's
all gonna
right.
get the same shot.
That's it. That's it.
And I understand that, and one of our colleagues, Juan, is going crazy in the Twitch, and we'll get to his debating behind in a minute. But I really wanted to talk to you guys about
Ooh.
the business side of what you guys do. I'm sure you were listening earlier when you heard me mention that my background with guns comes from a place of not a happy memory. But now I'm older and I'm looking to have maybe something just to have in the house, just to have. It's not something I'm going to be going into marksman competitions with. So if I came into your shop or I met you at a show,
Hold on, Diva.
um,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is a new development.
what
You think about owning? You think about owning now in the crib, huh?
I
That's
have,
what
and I
I'm
know
Say a
some
talking
of them
mark.
ain't
about.
listening anyway.
You going all the
I
you
Yeah.
have
want to be a
3
marksman
gun
woman?
permits. What?
You going all the way in? You talking about you want to be a marksman competition?
No, I'm
I
saying
think
no.
I
I'm
heard you
like,
right.
I don't
I
want to be
think I
in.
heard you
I'm
right. I
saying
may
I'm
have
not
heard
going.
you wrong, but that's what I thought I heard.
I mean, I'm not going deep enough to be in marksman competitions like the Survival
Oh, okay.
Sisters. I'm saying, like, if I just want to have it in the house, I had 3 gun
Okay.
permits sitting right here. My friend insisted on more than one. I'm like, how many guns can I shoot at once? So if I just came into the shop and just said, hey, I'm a novice gun owner. Look at you laughing. If I'm a novice gun owner and I came into the shop and I don't shoot, I go with my friends on a weekend at the range, then we do brunch. I'm being girly about it. Where would you direct me in my efforts as a novice gun owner, Roman?
If you came to me, the first I would tell you, if you're gonna have something for the house, get a shotgun. And you don't even need that
You're
purchase
like the
permit for a
third
shotgun.
person that said that.
Yeah, and you don't need a purchase permit for a shotgun. You can
You know,
just have it. You don't need a purchase permit for an AR either.
in North Carolina,
Nope. No,
get
you don't
out of
need
here.
any of that. No, if it's a long gun, all you have to do is go and buy it. It's a 5-minute ATF check, and you walk away with it.
Nuh-uh.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to feel about that. I'm shooketh. I'm
yeah.
like, don't tell
Well,
me that.
it'll make you realize how many guns are really out here. But here's the
Yes, don't
thing.
tell me that.
Here's the thing. We get that question all the time, and there's usually some man in a woman's life, brother, father, baby's daddy, whoever, who tells them you need to get this gun or that gun, and that's all
Yep,
bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You need
that's what
to
I have.
you need to try different guns and find one that's comfortable for you. Because if you
That's
don't
right.
like it, you're not going to shoot it. If you don't shoot it, you're not going to be proficient at it.
There you go.
And every man has some opinions about what you're supposed to do. If you go in a white gun store, well, they all are, but they're probably going to tell you to get a 380, and they're going to tell you get something pink, or they're going to tell you get a
That's what I was gonna
revolver
get. Yep.
because you can't rack the slide, and that's all nonsense.
I wanted a revolver at first. I absolutely wanted the one to go spin, and you just like put the bullets in
She
yourself. You
spin.
didn't have to worry about why y'all laughing. Why
It's
y'all
fun. It's all.
laughing?
I'm
And
like
then
I'm saying I think this is great. Like Diva is actually having this conversation. So just a little
It's important.
background. Yeah, it is because the background is when I make a new purchase, I take a picture and I send it to everybody and say, "Isn't she gorgeous?" And Diva hits me and says, "How many of those do you need?"
So basically, this whole episode is just a troll architect. So my whole thing is, I am absolutely coming from it as, you know, a female novice. I don't want to paint all females the same way, but I am absolutely like, look, I just want something that's going to
We
fit in my needy little hand, that is not going to pinch me, and it's not going to hurt when I fire it and go like this. And that is my frame. I do not have an educated
so
frame to come from. So when
so
someone comes to you and says, I am a complete novice, how would you approach that? How do you guide them through their gun purchase? And I know Drake, you probably want to jump in and say something.
so so first off, going into you know, I same thing what Rome said, you know, that's kind of what I said. If you saying you strictly want something for the house, that would also be my suggestion. But going through, because I was gonna come back and answer your question, you know, because of what you said, like if somebody come in complete novice, do you just sell them a gun and leave them? No, I
Yeah.
don't. I walk them through. So you have different ergonomics to guns. So you may come in with the
Yes.
mindset of saying, well, I don't want this and I want that and I want this and I want that. A lot of times I may be at the gun range. I get people all the time that have never seen a gun. I mean, never touched a gun, never shot a gun. We get that all the time. So you're not in the boat by yourself. So that's
No.
the first thing I try to get you to understand, that, you're not by yourself. There's nothing strange about it. So go through, get you out first to show you how to not hurt yourself. Show you the
That's the most
proper way to
important
pick up a gun, to hold a gun, and things of that nature. So you know that. So when you go and we can go out and start holding different types of guns, you know the proper way to hold it. So that way you know what's gonna feel right to you and what doesn't feel right to you. And then we go
one.
from there.
Exactly.
So you can go from there. It's nothing wrong with a revolver if that's what you want, but you have to know that that is what you want, and you're not going strictly off of what somebody said and what somebody suggested. You know,
Let me tell you,
different
I
guns
get
have different things
mansplained.
going on with them, and it's just a matter of educating yourself and knowing. But I would totally walk you through the process of
Mhm.
knowing what to feel for, knowing what to like and not like. Then once you get that part done, now you actually have to fire it to know about the recoil. And then you have to understand that all guns have a certain amount of recoil. Recoil is necessary. If
Oh
there
yeah.
is no recoil, there is no shot. So you're gonna have to,
Let me tell you
it's gonna
something.
happen. Yeah.
Y'all gonna love this story. So my friend likes to go shoot at Blackstone. I know you guys are familiar because Charlotte's a small town, regardless of how big it is. And he likes to go out there to shoot. So when we were out there, I did say, let me shoot a shotgun to get the experience so I can determine if I do want it in the house, because you are not the first people to tell me for a house shotgun. Because when they hear that, when they hear you like click, click, they'll know you mean business and they better make a decision. So everybody's like, okay. So we go out there on the range, earphones, headphones, everything. And they put the shotgun in my hand. They're like, okay. So like, put it in your shoulder. I'm like, it's in my shoulder. They're like, no, really put it in your shoulder. So I put it in my shoulder, like right here. First of all, it's as tall as I am. I'm 5'3". And I'm like, why'd you give me this big ass gun? So I go to shoot it and I tried to like steal my feet and my toes still picked up off the floor. I went, ooh, and it came back
Yeah.
down.
They gave you improper
And
information.
I'm like, I thought I was holding it. You guys said to hold it. They're like, okay, let's bring your target back and see if you hit it. You didn't hit anything. Let's try again. So they cocked it back up for me. They're like, all
They
right,
gave
try
you
in the other
improper
shoulder
information.
and see if it's gonna work.
They gave you improper
I got it up
information.
against, I'm trying to keep myself up. This gun's heavy. I've got it in my shoulder. I'm like, okay, no more shotgun. Because shotgun's gonna hurt me before I hurt anybody on the other end.
Diva, they gave you improper information. So first off, if you got a shotgun in the house, you're not gonna have a super long shotgun that you will go hunting with. Two, if you have a shotgun that's for the house, something that you're just trying to shoot in a general direction, you don't need to put it in your shoulder. You put it to your side.
Raise up.
The kick is gonna be there. You allow the gun to kick. You don't ever try to stop it from kicking. So they trying to tell you to lean into the recoil. You don't want to do that. That's how you hurt yourself. And so what you do is you just kind of put the gun to the side. You just stand to the side. I don't know how old you are, but if you think back to the Beverly Hillbillies when Granny would shoot it, she wouldn't put that thing in her shoulder. She'll put it to her side, and you just let the gun do what it do. You just kind of put it in a general direction, and you let the gun spread to anything that's generally in that remote area. It's going. If it don't hit them, they're gonna retreat. And that's the purpose of having a shotgun in the
Okay.
house. And
So
then it won't go through the walls.
to
So that's the purpose. You don't try to aim it like that. That's not proper information. That's bad advice.
Oh, okay. See?
to
This is what
Dreek's
happens when I went to the store and they tried to set me up for this purchase. They were worried about my purchase. They weren't setting me up for success.
right to
Right.
Dreek's point. I mean, my very first gun that I got was a Ruger EC9, just a basic Ruger EC9, $280, whatever, right? Since then, I've gotten the Caltex 2K. I've gotten the Hellcat, or the Springfield Hellcat, and then of course I got the Springfield Saint. But I'll tell you that the cheapest gun that I got is the one I'm gonna hit you with. Like the aim on, like just knowing how I'm handling that, I handle that one versus everything that I handle as far as even the handguns, the two different handguns. I'm gonna carry my Ruger because I know how she acts all the way around. Everything about it, I know how my hand is on it, and that's the cheapest one. A lot of people are like, you need to spend, $800, $1,200, and to me, as the way I feel, as long as I'm hitting the mark and it feels right in my hand, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Architect, are we losing you?
Nah, nobody, you couldn't hear me.
I hear him.
Maybe it's
I couldn't
me.
hear you for a
Keep
second,
going.
but I can hear you
So,
now.
so nah, just to Dreek's point, it's definitely about finding what's right for you. You know what I'm saying? I had a lot of people tell me, you need to get the Glock, you need to get this, you need to get that. But when I went into the different stores and I was handling them, the EC9 felt right to me. It just felt right to me. Like I say, since then, I mean, of course, I've now graduated into a larger magazine as far as the Hellcat, and I'm learning that. But if I'm concealed carry until I get to the point where I know that when I draw, I'm gonna make sure it gets what it has to get. The EC9 is on my side, so it's definitely about finding the right one. Is all. That's what I'm getting to.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
Diva, that would be like somebody telling you which car to buy because it's a car they like. You gotta test drive different cars and find out what fits you.
Exactly.
So, Roman, I wanted to ask also if you guys are thinking. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got it.
I wanted to ask. Oh, sorry. I wanted to ask also if you guys are thinking about maybe building your own range. I know I think in Charlotte you can't do it within your city limits. It has to be indoor, and if it's going to be outdoor, it has to be way out in the sticks. But I would love to see like a black-owned range out here at some point because, like I said, I've been to Blackstone. I think I've been to Ballantyne Gun Range. My friend likes to go to the bougie places, and which I don't mind. They have clubhouses and drink machines and all this. But are you thinking about doing that in the near future?
Absolutely, that's the long game
That's
right
next.
now. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's what's
all.
coming.
This is our opening moves. Our end game is to get that indoor range here in Charlotte,
That's
a
right.
black indoor range.
Okay, indoor.
Because these other
That's right.
ranges, they let us go, they accept us, they accept our money.
They're not ours.
Hmm.
They're not ours.
It's
Thank
clear.
you.
So yeah, they make it clear. They make sure everybody understands that. Even the best ones, they make it clear that that's they shit.
Right. And I mean, I hate to say it, but that's the case. And that's why I really wanted you guys to come on, give you guys that time to talk about your mission, to talk about what you do. Do you guys have a separate like club that gets together and do events like Fred was talking about, like technical events, or you do anything else besides your classes?
We don't have a club. To be honest, we don't have time for the club part. But there's already an
Okay.
organization here in Charlotte. It's Queen City African American Gun and Rec Club, and we've worked with them for quite some time. So they do that part, and we do the concealed carry and gun sales. But we also working on
Okay.
some youth programs right now. Youth gun safety, another larger youth program. We have a brother that works with us, Sifu Muhammad. He does martial arts classes. We're gonna do a chess club and a book club soon too.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
you know,
Yeah, we need more chess clubs in town.
yeah, indeed. You know, we try to stay away. Like, you know, it's a lot of different gun clubs out here, and so, you know, if any one of them, you know, come along, then I'm like, well, you know, whatever we do, you know, we do business with them, we train them. You know, if anybody have any kind of questions about them, I send them their direction. So we don't try to associate ourselves with one over another or anything of that nature. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's kind of like we're not a gun club. You know, we just we the people, we everybody.
That sounds very diplomatic, and I think people can appreciate that. You are where you come, get the guns, and you take them where you want to go. Architect, did you have a
Yeah. But you know,
question?
No.
but we do maintain relationships. You know what I'm saying? You know, you come in and you're
Oh,
a
yeah.
part of the Black Diamond family. We don't have a club with you, but we are family. And and I believe family is much more important than the club. But that's just me. No knocking against the club. So, you know, because clubs may be family as well.
Roman, I had a question for you specifically because we did have this discussion in our group chat with other colleagues, and they were talking about the investment because I had just gotten off a phone call with you, and I was letting them know, oh, great, you know, this gun owner is going to gun owner shop is going to talk to us, and it's going to be great. And he said he dropped a gem in my ear. He said, you know what's more expensive than owning guns? It's being a victim. And Architect was like, oh, I love that. And then it set one of our other colleagues off. I mean, he was off to the races, talking about everything that has to do with, like, if you shoot it, you're going to need a lawyer. They're going to put you in jail. You have to pay bail.
Oh
You have
yeah,
to do all this. What does
yeah.
he mean? And da da. And I'm just like, no, I came again as a novice. I want everybody to know we're almost at the hour mark that I'm not an expert. I'm a novice gun owner, future gun owner. I haven't even purchased anything yet because guess what? Guns are expensive. One of the cheapest guns I saw was a bill. It's $350 on sale. My friend wanted me to put a gun on layaway, folks. This is not
Put it on.
Kmart.
Put it on
Yeah, do it.
layaway.
Do it.
I'm not putting the gun on layaway. That makes no sense in my head. $300 is a good purse. The guns are expensive. You should not be picking up guns on the corner from Ray Ray's Bridge Shack and DVD sales out the trunk. So if you are going to go to a reputable shop like Black Diamond Firearms and Training, you are going to pay money to get it legit. Get your license, get your permits, do everything as a square. Because you don't want anybody
Yeah.
to be able to come back and say, oh, where'd this come from? Why is it filed off? Why is there 3 bodies on this gun like they say on Law and Order? No, go through a good place, get a good gun. But what do you say to people when they're like, this is such a big investment and I don't know if I can afford to be a gun owner?
I can't afford to not be a gun owner. I am a father. I am a husband. I can't afford to not have a gun.
I can't, look, I know the purse can't keep me safe. That's not the point.
Yeah, a purse can't keep you safe. Shoes can't keep you safe. Even having the gun itself doesn't keep you safe, but it's in the direction of being safe. In the end, it just has to be your mind has to be sharp as well. But that gun is a great tool with a sharp mind. So yeah, it's absolutely. I have a house full of unnecessary stuff, but the last thing I'll sell is those guns.
Mhm.
Now, what do you say to people who have 2 and 3? I have a friend whose father has like 2.5 gun safes. There's guns hidden all over the house. He said, be careful opening the closet. I'm just like, what do you mean be careful opening the closet? He's like, I'm just saying. I mean,
Hey, like you like
I
shoes?
tease Architect about it all the time. I'm like, how many can you shoot at once? Like, how many do you need, bruh?
Well,
Like,
it goes back to your purse and your shoes. How many pairs of shoes you need, or how many purses you need at
for
once.
every
You like
outfit.
shoes, I like guns. So what's the difference? Don't judge me. You know what
I
I'm
am
saying?
totally
You can't put on two pairs of high heels at the same time.
Those high heels are for that outfit. Your gun is not for a specific outfit.
No,
It can be.
it's for a specific
It can
range.
be.
It could be 20 feet. It could be 100 feet.
Yeah.
And this is where I get to take the piss out of architect. No, I just think that people need to understand all that comes into the ownership of one and having one. It's not as simple as let me go get some and get a bullet and now I own a gun. It's not that simple.
But it's also not simple to go get a car. You got to go to the DMV. You got to get insurance. You got to get it registered, inspected. You got to do that stuff every year. That's not easy either. But you're used to it, and it's socially acceptable, so you don't even think about it. You got to pay taxes on that car every year in North Carolina.
Oof.
But you don't even think about that stuff because it's, you know, it's just part of your everyday life.
Mm-hmm. And
And shoot. And guns are, I mean, cars are more dangerous than guns.
Yeah, and I want to chime in for a minute. Like they were talking about guns.
Fred, go ahead and come on in here and have your say.
Okay, now like they were saying, you know, a lot of people I found the reason it's good to have a black-owned gun club. I mean, a gun store is because I found when I was first buying guns, people will try to sell you what you can afford, not what you need.
That's
you know,
right.
go to a place where they're gonna sell for you, they'll sell you what you need, not what you can afford. Because you can go to some gun stores and they'll sell you anything, from a high point or a burster to whatever they can sell you to get your money. If you got $300, they're gonna give you $300 worth of security. But you know, you got to figure out. You got to like the Survival Sisters is not a club. It's just really just me and my brother. Because I'm like, you know, I don't really. We deal with everybody. Some people need a club, and that's because, hey, you know, like I said, they don't have an opportunity to get out and actually go do stuff. You know, but
yes, to socialize, yeah.
They need to socialize, but because some people, like I said, some people really don't want to train. They really don't train. They really like gun porn. To be honest with you, they really like to look at it and romance it. They don't really go out and beat it up. You got to go out and beat it up sometimes to make sure it works. So
yeah,
you gotta go. You got to go to a place where somebody's gonna take you through all the hoops and let you know, like, don't just buy what you can afford. Put it on layaway because this is what you need. Hold up.
Why did you put it on layaway?
Because I mean,
you got to get it.
You talk. I guarantee you talk to any one of you guys on this computer, they'll tell you right now, $1,000 ain't nothing to spend on a gun. Like, really?
That's really.
No,
Hey, look, that's really like that's actually cheap when you talk.
You hurt my heart.
Deep into it. If you go deep into it, that's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you might spend that on an optic.
Yeah,
like something to put on top of the gun. But
I'm real mad that y'all are saying that the gun itself is $1,000. I want the whole package for $1,000. Like I want the collector's edition. I want the case, the ammo, the safe, the holster for $1,000.
No. You're not getting that for $1,000. Now I'm pretty sure you go to these dudes with $1,000. That ain't gonna get it. You probably gonna pay.
This is what I'm talking about. That's why I only have permits and not a gun. This is serious money here.
I heard you say Gucci or Louis Vuitton earlier before the show started.
Oh.
So I heard you say that.
Oh.
So now, hey, one of y'all chime in because I heard.
Why you gotta call me out?
I'm just saying. I heard you. I'm in the back room and I hear you talking about Louis and Gucci. So really, we talking about $1,000 ain't really. I mean, that ain't really a hard thing for you to shoot at, right?
Listen, and that's the biggest issue in a lot of this, right? It's what's the importance? What's important to you? You know what I'm saying? We just had a discussion on Friday night about owning property, or like all of this is inclusive in my idea. Gun ownership, property ownership, ownership period. All that stuff is inclusive in my thought process, at least. I don't know where everybody else is at with that. So that purse and them shoes, it's not going to stop anything. If anything, you attracting more heat if you bring that Louis Vuitton and you out there with that Louis where you shouldn't be, and somebody's starving and wants that Louis Vuitton.
And you got to understand, you can acquire all these things that you want. You can acquire all this wealth, but you still have to have a way to defend that wealth. You have to have a way to protect it.
Exactly.
So you can acquire all the. It comes down to economics and violence. You have to have both. We have to have both for freedom.
Exactly.
And you can have all the money in the world, but then when somebody with a gun comes in, they're gonna take it. How you gonna stop them?
Exactly.
You're right. You are making a valid point, and I am just like kind of taking the piss and teasing with you guys about how girly I'm being about it. Intellectually, I absolutely agree with you about it. It's just really is a lot to come out of pocket, and I do want people to understand that if you are going to make that investment, it should be made in a responsible way. You should be getting a safe if your state requires it, and you have children in the home. You should be getting the right kind of ammo. You should be getting what you can handle for what you need for your safety. I know not to bring like a semi-automatic rifle in my house because I don't need that. But I know that I would want something easy to get to, easy to pick up, and absolutely have ready to go. Intellectually, I absolutely know that. But my heart and the way my checking and savings is set up, $1,000.
Okay.
Hey, James Pope said, "What makes you think?" James Pope said to you, Diva, "What makes you think the gun has to be designer as long as it works right when you need it?"
Exactly.
I don't think there is such a thing as designer guns, is there?
Oh,
There's
yeah,
not
there
gonna
is.
be-
Yeah.
There are?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And you know, like
won't necessarily.
Stop laughing at me, architect.
To Brother Fred's point, you won't necessarily spend a G, but it's important to get what you need and don't try to steer you one way or the other, based off of, it's important to understand what you need and then know that you're dealing with people that's gonna get you what you need. So if that means like whatever you need being something more pricier, then it could possibly be saying, well, like this is the approach you need to go about acquiring that. That may not necessarily be so.
Yeah.
And Dialect, can you bring up those pictures that I sent you of the guns that were possibly on my shopping list? I'm going to see if Dialect has these pictures to show you guys what I found on the interwebs about the different types of guns that are out there for people to purchase. The purchase shopping that I have done, in all seriousness, I took into consideration the size of my hand, my hand strength. Oh, now look at this.
Yeah.
Look at that with the magazine. Gary Cisninski says I wanted to bedazzle my weapon. I don't need to, Gary, because look at the Hello Kitty. Look at the hollow. Okay, look at that holographic shining and glistening. And
It's still a Desert Eagle, though. I mean,
oh, that Desert Eagle. There you go. The 45th president edition of the Desert Eagle. What y'all think?
You was gonna carry that, Diva?
Who's gonna carry that?
I don't know. You said it was on your list.
Wow.
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 Yeah, that's what you said.
Wow.
She said it was on the list. I don't know.
Oof.
But one thing about firearms,
I do like that holographic 6 hour though.
What was that?
I did like that holographic 6 hour.
No, I was saying your firearms. I mean, like let's say if you have a 50 BMG, you can't go to an indoor range to shoot that. So that gun's gonna open up the doors for you to go some other places to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about it is these guys on here tell you when you show up somewhere, people treat you a certain way depending on what you shoot. If you walk in there, and if you really want to be taken serious in the gun community, you can't go in there with something that costs $150 and people don't even try to show you anything. It ain't gonna be worth even helping you. Most of these guys, some of these guys are gun snobs. They won't even touch you. But if you go in 50 cal you just shot, somebody gonna allow you to shoot theirs too. But you go in there with something and they know you don't wear it's like your Louis Vuitton. You walk in there with the Louis Vuitton stuff, guess what? They're gonna treat you like Louis Vuitton. But you go in there with your Michael Kors, guess what?
With your Steve Madden or your Madden.
Steve Madden. I'm just
what
saying.
What you trying to say about Michael Kors?
But and like my brother brother Townsend was saying, even like about defending yourself, like that's why a lot of these massacres happen, especially like places like Black Wall Street. You had everything, but you didn't have anything to defend. You didn't have a defense force. Just because you you don't buy firearms to go assault somebody. You buy them to if you need to defend, and if there's gonna be the people that are supposed to protect you fail to protect you, and you're putting my people in danger, then guess what? We have trained. We understand how it works. Because one thing about only people that can call for peace is powerful people. If you have no power, don't think you can have a conversation about respect. It does not equate to that. You talk to I'm telling you, when everybody, the most polite places I've ever been, even with your you go to a place We go to range day. We go to gunfighter. When we go to those places, guess what? Everybody's so nice. You give you free food. You get free stuff. You get free
Yep.
bags. You get trinkets. Nobody's cursing. Nobody's getting upset. No temper tantrums. None of that. That only happens in places where, you know what, though? People allow you to behave in such a way.
Wow. That's a powerful statement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
That is a powerful statement. Roman, did you have something on your mind there?
No, I agree. Yeah, at those gun ranges, everybody, the people who are in there shooting, everybody's friendly because everybody has to be equal. Because none of
So
that
are you saying
rest of that matters
the
when we all
guns
holding
make you
guns.
equal?
I mean,
Do the guns make you equal?
in the old West, they call the 45 the great equalizer. Yeah, it does put everybody on equal footing.
Yeah.
That means what I say matters
Okay.
just as much as what you say. That means you can't talk a whole bunch of junk. We all got the same thing. Even if there's two of you and one of me, it still makes us a lot more equal.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said earlier, it comes down. Like I said earlier, it comes down. The guns are cool, but it comes down to skill set. That's why I say, you know, you have to have most of those guys are moving from a defensive mindset to a survivalist mindset. And the reason they're doing it because they got to be proactive. You got to know what you're going into and you're dealing with before you get there. You can't go in there with the attitude of everybody got an attitude. Somebody do something to me, this is what's gonna happen. And you walk into a room like that, you gonna either listen. Wolves have a conversation with their teeth. They don't do sheep stuff. That's what people in front of us.
Wow. Okay. Everybody dropping gems tonight. I hope you people hear this right now. You are listening to the Hip Hop Citizen live stream. We are talking about guns in general. We are talking about everything: safety, purchasing, safely carrying, knowing what you're doing with them. We are streaming on all platforms. I'm going to do a quick housekeeping note. We're streaming on all platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitter and Twitch. We hope that you guys will follow, like, share, subscribe. You're listening to Architect 7. I'm the Diva. These are my views. We are talking to Roman Townsend and Drake of Black Diamond Firearms here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we also have on the line Fred Thrasher, who is with Survival Sisters. He is teaching his daughters to be educated and well-armed. And we are loving this conversation. If you guys would like to continue to participate and you would like to take part, we do have a call-in link that'll put you into the StreamYard green room with the Blueberry Punch. And we would love to continue to hear from you. And you can respectfully discuss the topic amongst yourselves in our chat rooms. And Edificio, I agree with you. I'm going to get your name right at some point. Wolves have conversation with their teeth. Let me tell you, we are learning so much from you gentlemen right now. Folks, this is Black excellence right here. Knowledge speaks to power, and we are taking it all in. Trust me, I know I'm being funny and making light of things, but I am taking it in. I really am, because as a novice, I want to know what I can do to get to that next level of gun ownership in a responsible way.
You know, back to what Fred was saying, as far as protecting yourself. So I work at the Navy Yard in D.C. The shooting that transpired, the mass shooting that transpired, which actually I believe the date is coming up, the 16th of September. I had some coworkers that were killed in that whole scenario, and that's a base. That's supposed to be one of the safest places you should be able to be. If that's not enough to let you know that you got to take protection into your own hands to the nth degree, I don't know what else there is to say.
I mean, it's an important point to make that, you know, everyone has that right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's a matter of how you get there. And I think that's what everybody is trying to do. They're trying to figure out how to get there. One of the ways is weaponry. One of the ways is diplomacy. I prefer that weaponry be the last resort. But if I'm going to have it, I want to be able to be just as knowledgeable about that as I am with my words and the way I move. And I see that Don Wanda Mack, one of our colleagues, has decided to join the conversation. Gentlemen, gird your loins.
Oh my goodness!
Whoa.
Why be so positive there, Diva? Hey, listen, you guys are kind of homogenous a little bit to me. So, I just
homogenous.
Well, yeah, homogenous in thought, right? Because look, first and
They're
foremost,
making valid points. There's nothing wrong with agreeing with them.
first and foremost, I want to say congratulations to both my brothers out there, Roman and Fred, and also we got Drake out there in the green room. Great conversation, much needed conversation. Just a quick question though. You guys talk about putting the guns on layaway. Have you guys invested in gas masks? Do you guys own gas masks?
Hey,
wait, seriously. Wait, seriously. Hold on.
Let me tell you something. We survivalists. Like, I don't know if he told you or not, but gas masks, biohazard chemicals, suits, night vision, thermal, no, all the way. Ain't nobody partly ready.
Okay. And it's good because so far I haven't heard that in the conversation at all, right? Because if our colleague Diva is to go out and get her a nice Hello Kitty Desert Eagle or whatever it may be that suits her best, why aren't we talking about the type of gas mask she's going to need, or even armor?
Because we talk about guns.
Well, aren't they all related?
No, a gun and a gas mask is two different things.
Well,
if somebody comes to my house at 3 a.m, I'm not going for a gas mask. I'm not going for a fire extinguisher. I'm going for a gun.
And then, so they make
the Hello Kitty gun.
Well,
not that one.
Okay. And I had this conversation with Architect. Are you guys familiar with the struggles inside of Russia with the Czechs in the government of Russia? Long story short, the Chechnya, they had their own militia, they had their own rebellion. They're going up against the government. You know what the government does in Russia? They gas them. They gas them all. And then one by one, point blank to the head. And so my question would be, how prepared are you in self-defense if someone were to gas you guys, if you're armed to the teeth? And
you talk about somebody gassing my house or gassing Charlotte?
Well, the point being is, if you got a gun for self-defense, if someone knows that you're armed, they just hit you with the sleeping gas.
Where you get sleeping gas from?
Well, my point being is,
like anybody in Charlotte can go, like I said, can go buy a shotgun or an AR. I don't know where to get sleeping gas, so I don't really have to defend against that. Just like I live in North Carolina, so I'm not worried about earthquakes. It can happen, but it's not real likely.
Well, okay, fine, fair enough. If someone wanted to get you, right, I could catch you at the subway and put poison in your sandwich, your $5 footlong.
I mean, I play devil advocate. with you. I do this. If somebody, first of all, if somebody motivated, they gonna do what they want to do anyway.
Yeah,
that's it. Now, here's the thing.
Presidents get killed.
But here's the thing. Do I know you doing that, or you voluntarily trying to find some reason to do that to me?
Well, it would, and with all due respect, it almost implies that we're looking for the idiot that's going to come into your home and looking to steal your VCR.
Well,
we are.
Idiot does do that.
I don't think. Because my thing is, even with that, like with my house, I got the invisible bars. I mean, my stuff has got 3M tape on my front windows. I got steel doors. So what that means is, if you coming to get me, Pookie and Ray Ray ain't coming. If they coming, they gonna need the rhino to pull the doors off. Number one. And when you do that, guess what? Like I said, I'm not gonna tell y'all on the radio, but guess what? We gonna have fun.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna be
exactly. Move in silence. Don't tell all your secrets.
Juan's taking it to some extreme shit.
Nah, he's
coming up with like Dr. Evil.
Like
laser beams on their head stuff.
Juan's thinking, Cats is going to raid the hill or some shit. No,
I mean,
Juan, this isn't what we're talking about, bro.
With all due respect, raiding the hill is when you're preparing with 50. You're buying $20,000 art rifles or putting guns on layaway. That's planning for the hill, my buddy.
Okay, let's talk about the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 rifles. You know that when you got class 3 stuff, that's it. $60,000, $70,000 maybe what you spend. If you want to go fully automatic, you're gonna have to spend some bread. You can bang, bang, bang all day long, but people want to go. If you want to do that right there, get your money up. You're gonna need 15 start if you want to do that. You might get an Uzi for 7 if you can do that. But the reality of it is who need all that? Now, if you want to play that game, then we can have a conversation. You can call me, play a conversation. But this conversation on this computer where everybody can see it, nobody's going. Nobody look. If they do that, I don't know what I'm worth for them to do that, but if they choose to do that,
right.
We're gonna have fun doing it.
And I get you there. And sorry, I couldn't resist though. But I thought you guys were homogenous, and I don't hear enough of opposite opinions. That's all.
Okay, I appreciate it, Juan. Thank you very much for trying to play Alex Jones. That's not what we're here to do tonight, folks. What we were trying to do
It was a good try.
Information.
Yeah.
Hey, brother Townsend. Hey,
Yeah.
he trying to get us banged up on the TV. I mean, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
We
right.
are just trying to make sure what this show does is information. We are trying to get
Exactly.
information into the hands of the people that need it, that can use it, and they can take that research for themselves and then go out and make their decisions. That's what Sunday's special report on Hip Hop Citizen live stream is for. If he thinks that's homogenous thought, I'm sorry, but sometimes good ideas are a consensus.
Now it was
I
fun.
mean, we the consensus here, but we are the minority. We just happen to be here together.
Well, explain.
Like if you go out and speak to most people, if you go out and speak to most black people, I don't think that we are all as ready or gun advocates as the audience here today. So it's we're not homogenous with everybody. We just have the same views as one another. We all see something that a lot of other people don't see.
That's it.
And it's unspoken. And it's unspoken. Like most people,
Right.
like if I see these dudes, I know these dudes. It's not like you
Right.
know what I'm saying. You got to say nothing, but like most people, you know what kind of conversation we're gonna have. Like I told you, you got the self-defense mindset and you got the survivalist mindset, and that's because, like I said, if those things that he was saying, like it's not like that's the first time we see that. I mean, I heard something like that. People always come at gun owners with stuff like that because you know what though, it tries to deflate the fact that the relevance of it is yeah, for us, guns is the first step of being prepared. Now, if you talk to these guys and get inside their mindset, it's a whole nother area of survival they've prepped for.
Well, I think I think when we get that type of lashback, it's basically showing the fundamental fear about the idea of all of that. It goes back to what we said when we first started. There's a fear that has been placed behind the aspect of owning guns. Case in point, if your daughter, which who you train, was to be at school, and this is actually a real thing, and carved out a peanut butter jelly sandwich that was shaped as a gun and get suspended. Those are the things that they're planning in people's heads. Gun bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so when I get that lashback, it just tells me, number one, they're uninformed, right? They haven't done their research. They don't understand everything that surrounds that, and they got a good, healthy fear of them.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just grabbing my laptop. You know, and like I said, you know, man, like even with that, like it's not bad. It's just like I mean, it was fun hearing that because it's not that I guarantee you that's not anything new that anybody on this panel has heard before. You know, in a conversation when it comes to firearms. So it wasn't offensive or anything like that. It's just one of those things that that's why you know we chuckle because you hear it all the time. Right. The thing about it is like people ask me why do I train my daughters. Let's if they are at school, let's say there is a active shooter situation. They don't have guns at school, but they know how to move. They know how to move. They know how to team up and move together. Because it's not about the gun. It's about the mindset. Having a firearm gives you it should give you a certain mindset. It shouldn't be you. If you 30 years old and you just got a gun and you just got tough, it ain't gonna do you no good anyway. It's kind of like a mute point. Most of these people before they start having guns, they had a certain mindset about themselves. You know, and my thing is like Diva was saying earlier, you know, like I said, you know, we need all kind. We need all kind of people. We need the Martin Luther Kings, the Malcolm X's. We need the Marvin. You know, we need all of those. So I'm not knocking people who don't, but the people who don't want them or want to be around them, don't knock the people that do want them. Because I guarantee you, if your alarm go off at 4 o'clock in the morning, you don't have a gun, you call the police with a gun. That's the whole reason why you call them. Because if he didn't have a gun, he wouldn't come out there. You know, so don't act like it doesn't all mount up to something. But if I feel like it's my responsibility, I got 4 girls. It's my responsibility to protect them because I mean I'm not waiting for nobody to help me defend my family. I'm not doing that. I'm not gonna have a conversation about defending them. I'm not finna negotiate. I'm not finna see how it is. We're not finna do the whole let's be a bigger person. Hey, nope. Misunderstanding. Once we had a misunderstanding, then it's there. But the reality of it is we do everything in our power to avoid that being a situation in our lives. Indeed, because the one thing about it is most people that own guns don't want to lose their gun rights. So they're not looking for a fight. The thing about it is, but if they need to defend themselves, I'm pretty sure they will. Is it the end out of me? Yeah. If you're a survivalist, you already got that stuff. You got all that stuff. You got all that stuff before they took it off the market.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing about it is it's like, if you talk about guns, do you have enough food at home to last you the next couple months if things shut down? And like I said, you got different breeds of people. I'm pretty sure these guys on the computer, they don't buy enough guns, so they're buying a whole lot of other stuff now. They buy force multipliers. They buy food. They buy ammo. They buy stuff that's going, because everybody got a gun. Most of these people got these fallacies of having these close quarter combat situations. Once you get shot, you better have some medical stuff. You better have an emergency room. If you don't, you're gonna die. And that's what people don't get when they talk about having firearms and stuff. Are you trained to do intermediate medicine? And you keep them alive until they get to somewhere where somebody can stop the bleeding or stitch them up or whatever the case may be. You should have that stuff with you. So, I look at people when they say stuff like that. That's fine. I may get into a shooting. One of my kids may get shot because I know how to move. The reason I teach them how to move is so they can move with me. But if let's say you with somebody and they get shot, can you stop them from bleeding until the EMS gets there to provide life support and services? Can you keep them alive? And that's the thing I tell people all the time. Like, it's not just about the gun. The guns force you to have a whole nother mode of thinking, a whole nother direction in which you want to go to make sure that your preparedness is available when you need it. That's it. It's for nothing else.
Right. Yeah, I get that a lot. I get a lot of hashback about my love for them, and I get called paranoid, and I get all those things. But I think one of the biggest examples that we have is when the Corona thing went down. Who would have thought? Who would have thought any of this stuff would have went down? You're talking, if they were to say grocery stores are closed, everything's closed. You weren't able to go through the drive-through, and that was okay, and none of that stuff was open. How are you living? Where are you at with it? And back in the days, the doomsday preppers was looked at as crazy.
Yeah.
Now it's a reality.
Man, I went from being Kevin Hart to Idris Elba all in the pandemic. First thing somebody want to say now is, if it go bad, I'm coming to your house. No, you're not. What makes you think I'm gonna be at home? You're not coming over here.
Right, my supplies are from my home.
Yeah, people laughed and carried on, but the reality of it is, man, your preparedness is yours. Your survival is yours. It's not for anybody else. I went to some contractor training. The first thing the guy told me, he said, if you on a boat with your best friend and they didn't learn how to swim, he said, if the boat go down and they drown, he said, what do you do? He said, let them drown, let a long fill of air, use them to float to the nearest island and give them a good burial. Because if you have time to prepare, you need to be prepared. Survival is 24/7. Survival is something that you do so you can be prepared. So you don't have to be scrambling in the midst of or trying to prepare for your kids. Being a firearm, a firearm is if you're using it to be reactive, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. If you're using it to be proactive, then you're using it in just response. And just response is I have no other choice. I've exhausted every other resource. Situational awareness, resolving it. But if you get to the point where yours is reactionary, you sitting here waiting for a fight when you could have walked away, then yeah, you need to spend that $25,000 for that lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
You need to.
Gentlemen, you have made such good points. I was losing my signal for a while, and now it's decided to cooperate. But as I said, I didn't want to take up your whole Sunday night. So if you guys want to drop back into the green room and we'll jump into some other topics, and if you feel like you want to stay on the stream and continue to listen in, we're going to jump into some specifics right now. But I want to thank you guys so much for joining us, Roman and Jareek. Please shout yourselves out on all your socials and your website.
BDfirearms.com is our website. On Instagram, it's black_diamond_FT, and it's BD Firearms on Facebook as well.
And let the people know the date of your very next class or training.
We actually have a class tomorrow. It's Tuesday. We have a Tuesday, Thursday class, so we do it during the week. We break it up 4 hours on Tuesday, 4 hours on Thursday. So you don't have to spend your whole weekend. We have a ladies only class October 10th. And we'll post another one for October very soon.
All right, I have to sign up for one of
$135,
those.
everything included. Yeah. So Diva, before you buy a gun, come see us. Learn how to use it right. We're not gonna have you out there with shotguns doing stuff wrong. We got you.
With my toes, going back
Yeah.
off the
And
Yeah.
your
concrete.
and your Louis Vuitton high heels shooting a
Yeah.
shotgun.
Shut
Yeah. We're not gonna set
up.
you up like that.
That
Yeah.
holographic 6 hour was pretty. Okay, and Fred Thrasher, tell the people one more time where Survival Sisters
Right.
can be found.
It's Survivor Sisters 3 on Instagram and The Survivor Sisters on Facebook and YouTube.
And I'm sure those girls aren't worried about pretty guns. They just know how to clean them and shoot them. Trust me, I don't even know how to take it apart to clean it. I have to take it to somebody. All right, gentlemen, we're going to put you back into the green room, or you can step off the stream if you want. We're going to jump into some other topics.
Yeah, I'm
But
gonna
thank
be
you
in touch
so
with
much
you
for
guys,
your
man.
time.
Outside of this, just so you guys know, Roman, Fred, man, I like to.
Yeah. Please do. Yeah.
Thank
So I
you,
get his
Fred.
info.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right,
All
guys.
right.
All right. Peace.
And who have we got in here with us right now? Arabic Stevie?
How you
Hi
doing,
there.
Stevie? ¿Qué te pasa?
Stevie, can you hear us? Oh, okay. I think Stevie needs another cup of punch. But I'm sure he wanted to jump to the conversation. And I'm sorry, Stevie, if we took everybody off the air that you wanted to speak to, but definitely come back with your question. The gentleman will probably check out the rest of the replay. And to everybody checking out the replay, we know this is a long one, but there is a lot to cover. And Architect and I are in it for the long haul because there are specific topics that we do want to get into. We have really enjoyed having this conversation so far. Once again, you are listening to Sunday Special Report on the Hip Hop Citizen live stream. We are on all social media platforms. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. We want to shout out DJ Phase Uno and El Edificio.
In the house. He said in the house.
In
That's
the
what he's
house.
saying.
They have been sticking with us, and they have made such good points in the chat. We want to thank you, gentlemen, for doing that. Please check us out. Give us a like, share, follow, and subscribe. We love you all for participating. Gary, I saw you saying I wanted to bedazzle my weapon. I'm not that girly. But we do want to talk about some other things.
I was more shocked about the Trump 45 joint with all the engraved, that being on your
That
list.
was not
I
on
was
my
shocked.
list. I
Shocked me.
just wanted to troll you guys with that one. That one was weird. Guys, we are going to go right back to the beginning. We started out talking about the Second Amendment, and I do want to make some good points that one of our silly colleagues, Juan, put in here. It was never really meant for us as Black people. It was not here for you to get my mind right. I have my mind right, but sometimes I just got to tease y'all about it and, be girly to put you guys off the track. It was never meant for us as Black people, so does it really protect us? And the point we were making is it is for a fact not meant for us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what the Second Amendment says. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. There are Oxford commas in here. If you saw this in text and read it the right way, you would understand. If you took out that middle clause, all my grammar Nazis out there, it would say, a well-regulated militia shall not be infringed. They just happened to include that middle part so that they could have soldiers have their weaponry ready for that militia. That was the whole damn point, and I'm sticking to it. Now, over the years, it's been interpreted and amended, and legal precedent has been set. But the thing we want to get to is that long before America's founding fathers, who were already landed gentry through their British heritage, declared their independence in 1776. And early settlers had laws on the books to exclude Negroes, slave and free, from carrying weapons, including clubs. Like if you just found a big old stick in the middle of a field, they didn't want you to have that either. For instance, a 1619 Virginia legislature governed that Indians, mulattoes, and of course Negroes remain unarmed. And the distinction is an abhorrent admission of over 400 years of American bias against persons of color with weapons, including free Black men, if such a characterization exists. Even in 1712, in Virginia and South Carolina, there were laws being made to make sure that people with this skin tone did not have weapons. It can't be more clear to me anyway, as a student of history, not much American history, but just in general of human socialization, they never meant for the Second Amendment to cover us. They made the Second Amendment to make sure it wasn't for us. Phase Uno, I saw that.
But here's the thing, right? So, yes, historically, all that stuff exists, and I'm not, refuting that. But we here now, right? And right now, we have that option. And you would be foolish. Anyone would be foolish, especially people of color would be foolish to not put themselves in a situation to own a firearm or firearms or learn to prepare for whatever situations may lie ahead. All that exists. Agreed. And I agree that systematically there are a lot of hills that are to be climbed. But at this point, the right is there. Take advantage of it. Don't be foolish enough to think that you shouldn't.
I just want people to understand the history behind the idea of why Black people have always ended up with guns in a clandestine way, that we've used it to perpetuate violence.
Mhm.
I mean, if it has been the case, it's because there has already been the deck stacked against us in trying to protect ourselves just like any other citizen of this country when we finally became citizens. They didn't want to see that. And Jeff Sizemore is saying, I don't agree with that, Diva, but that's aside the actual point. What's stopping you or anyone else today from owning a firearm? There's nothing stopping us except the laws of your various states. They are very mishmashed, which is confusing for anybody, including somebody who wanted to be a possible novice gun owner like me. Like, I didn't know that a long gun doesn't require a purchase permit in North Carolina. Had no idea. I thought I would have to use it and use that as one of my gun permits, and then I would only have 2 left. So that's something that I'm still learning. Why don't I have that same knowledge that maybe the accountant for the NRA's kid probably has? Like, why is that not part of my repertoire just as much as it is his?
Well, so my thing is this: all things being said about the unequal opportunity of information, it's out there. It's what do you want? How are you gonna dig there? And there's other organizations, just as with Roman and his company, Black Guns Matter, Monterey is out there. There's plenty of informational sources, and I think that again the issue goes back to the fear that's been placed on the idea of gun ownership, or the negative connotation placed around minority gun ownership, and not necessarily from outside looking in, but more from an internal perspective. Because I can tell you right now, my mother, diehard Puerto Rican, initially when me and my brother, started getting into gun ownership, the very thing was, be careful, and I get it, safety, and it's my mother, of course. You're always gonna be your mother's
Of
baby,
course.
but
Yeah.
it's the fear that has been placed in there that really stops us from diving in and learning that inside out. And I think that's why it was important for me to have Fred on, because I admired the fact that he has his daughters, and I can relate because I have daughters in the same age brackets, and it's a great thing that he's allowing them and showing them the way. I think that's what needs to be done.
I think more education is supposed to be out there, but it's depending on how you're getting that education and who's showing it to you. Because if it's somebody that already has an agenda, the opposite of Fred's agenda, which is straight, just here's what it looks like, here's how you take it apart, here's how you clean it. If it's somebody that wants to include little asides with it as well, that's different. And it depends on where you're getting your education from. Because at one point, it wasn't that big a deal to see somebody have that gun in their hand, because I was going to touch on the Mulford Act from 1967 in California. That was a turning point in American gun rights, and especially for minority gun rights, because the Mulford Act in 1967 was passed specifically because the Black Panther Party at that time were taking advantage of the fact that you could open carry in California. These days, California has some of the most restrictive gun laws in the country, and then their individual municipalities and cities have their own. But when everything first started and the Black Panther Party wanted to police the police and look out for themselves, the Sacramento Bee put up this headline: Capitol is invaded, state police halt armed Negro band. All they did was stand on the Capitol steps with long guns and talk about how they're right, to look out for their neighborhoods and for their people should not be infringed upon, just like they were saying now. But guess who helped Ronald Reagan pass the Mulford Act along with Don Mulford, who was the one who proposed it in the first place? National Rifle Association. They were the ones who pushed it. This is how their name came into the forefront. We'll talk about the NRA later in the show because, like, I'm going to be here a minute, but they were the ones who helped Governor Ronald Reagan at the time present on the Capitol lawn that there was no reason why on the street today a citizen should be carrying loaded weapons and that guns were a ridiculous way to solve problems that have to be solved among people of goodwill. Later in the press conference Reagan had, he added that the Mulford Act would work no hardship on the honest citizen. And that sounds familiar when people talk about gun control now. They're telling everybody that, look, if you are a responsible gun owner, if you are getting your guns in an honest way, you have nothing to worry about. And yet when the laws were put in place, they were put in place once again to prevent specific people from being able to take advantage of what was supposed to be equal rights for everybody. And that, when I look back at that, the Mulford Act especially pissed me off. Because I'm like, it didn't have to be this hard.
Mm-hmm.
It really didn't have to be this hard. That makes me, when I look at the Black Panther Party, takes me into the idea of militias. So, Architect, you member a militia?
Mm-hmm.
Which militia you a part of?
No, you said, am I a member? You said, do I remember?
No, I said, are you a member?
I am not a member of a militia. Although some would probably think just because of what I own, but
you are your own militia.
Yeah, exactly. No, I seek like minds. That's just where I'm at with it. It has nothing to do with being an armed militia. I just like minds. You know what I mean?
But do you think they are like-minded like you to the degree that you are? Or do
I would
you
say that
they like guns and want to protect gun rights?
So I would say that in my opinion, that some of those militias get bad raps, get bad press, as far as how the media portrays. I'll say that in my walks that I've come across members who are involved in some of that stuff, and honestly, when you hear what they're saying, and I'm not saying all of it. Again, I haven't gotten that deep into the angle, but I just think some of it gets a bad rap. I think because of the nature of what we're dealing with, it's easy to be misconstrued, misled to what certain organizations stand for.
Listen, this is not you. Juan, homogenous thought does not equal groupthink. Just because people are of like minds about something does not make them a monolith. It just makes them agreeable on a specific topic.
On that topic. And that's the problem with society right now. That's exactly it. And
it just means that we agree about this one thing. It doesn't mean that we're all
Listen, that's the problem with society right now as a fucking whole. And I'm going to use that word.
Phrase. Oh my God. He loves thinking.
That's the problem, right? I look at it this way, and this is with everything. I'm a damn human being, right? Just because I look at one thing a certain way doesn't mean you can put me in a box, because I can agree with you on some stuff and I can disagree with you on some stuff. That's how we built. But we're coming into a society now where, for instance, when Juan came in and started talking about if, the government starts gassing you on whatever.
All whole hypotheticals.
Well, then that's the problem, is that people lump people into this box because they think one certain way. Just because you own a lot of guns don't mean you're going to raid the hill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're not preparing for another Ruby Ridge.
Right. And that's the problem. And that's with everything that goes on now. If I disagree on, let's say, the way an officer handled a stop with a black man, or how the gentleman stop may have, it doesn't make me racist. It just makes me say, on that particular event, at that particular time, I have this particular feeling. And that's okay. That's the problem. And so we got to get out of that type of thinking. Anyway,
Juan, we're going to stop over. Juan. We're going to stop, because you could think of them all day long, and we don't have the time or the crayons to explain all the results of the hypotheticals.
Well, that's just Juan's anxiety speaking.
When it comes to militias, though, I'm of a different mindset. These well-regulated militia meant I'm definitely a letter of the law person when it comes to the Second Amendment. So, like I said, if I take out that middle clause, all that Second Amendment meant was a well-regulated militia shall not be infringed upon. And a well-regulated militia, a militia means you were tasked by the state to help the standing army protect themselves. Because at the time that militias were put in place, we did not have a standing army as the colonies, like the British did. And so we had to put a bunch of hodgepodge farmers and, merchants together, go grab some muskets, and let's head out there. That's what that meant. That did not mean that everybody gets their own, rocket launcher. And so for me, a militia should not be a ragtag group of guys again coming together, giving themselves hand signals and tattoos and names, and then they're going to be the ones that go out and think they're going to go to Portland and help out.
Oh, but hold
That's
on.
what's scary.
Here's the misconception. This is part of the misconception that I speak of when we talk about militia. See,
Okay, go ahead.
what a lot of people don't understand is, yes, CNN or a lot of these other news organizations will show you the fat sloppy guy who can barely walk with a bunch of unfit friends that smoke cigarettes all day, and that's their militia. No. You have to understand, you have prior mercs. These are people that have served in the military overseas, have fought in wars, that are part of these militias. And what they also don't show you is that there are people of color in some of these militias as well that have fought and been in the army. And when they come home, their idea is our rights are being taken. They're slowly creeping into our homes. They're finding backdoor ways to prevent not just people of color from owning guns, but gun ownership, period. Right, for a bigger agenda. And then we can go into they're crazy and they think it's all conspiracy theory. But this is why people need to pay close attention, because they're quick to say, oh, little thick energy, just because, the fat white guy with a gun, and what are they going to do? No. What people are not seeing are prior war veterans and prior individuals that have served, that are well trained in that aspect. So I just say that to say we can't be foolish enough to think like these are just like some backyard Billy Bob got together with, Jim Bob next door and formed a militia. That's what they show you. That's what they want you to believe. But there's a deeper root into that stuff.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because the militia movement, according to the Anti-Defamation League, really didn't start getting prominence again until after Waco. And that was in the 90s. Then Timothy McVeigh in Oklahoma City. And that's when people started getting together and figuring that because the government that's where the conspiracy theorists started, because the government was coming in, Waco, Ruby Ridge, everything else, they're coming to get us. That's when they decided they were going to get together and form their own little self-appointed militias to get together in case of government overreach. But nobody has been able to say for sure what they consider government overreach. When it's a law or legislation that they like, they're okay with it. But anything else that has to do with them or touches their lives, that's the overreach. And that's what I don't appreciate, is that it's very polarizing in that regard. And from what I can tell, it does have leaders that have stated specifically that they are only out for self. But they're not the only ones doing it. The beer bellies and the rednecks and the ones that are eating beans out of a can in Idaho, reading their own newsletter, are not the only ones doing that. Let's go ahead and talk about the NFAC. They are the masked, armed black militia that recently marched through a park in Georgia that deems violence and killing an acceptable response to oppression. Now, I'm getting this information. We're going to post links that I'm reading because I'm turning my head to read. From Russia Today. This is the only website that they would interview with. Russia Today is a nonprofit news organization that is specifically financed by the Russian Federation. And so people actually consider them outside the mainstream media and therefore a reliable source. Now, I'm giving everybody the side eye at this point, but this is who they decided to talk to, so this is the link that I'm looking at. So the NFAC is a black-only militia that believes in violence and wants a real-life Wakanda for every black person in America. NFAC stands for Not Fucking Around Coalition. That is the acronym.
I
Not
believe it.
fucking around coalition.
So I follow Grandmaster.
Grandmaster Jay.
Yeah, I follow him, and I was watching him this morning, and again, it's tough because when you actually hear what he's saying to and listen to what he's saying outside of how it's reported, I don't feel like he's too far off.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Honestly, I don't, like I said before, I don't appreciate militias that are not well regulated, and I don't consider you and your friends getting together and letting some other people in a well regulated militia. But that's just me being pedantic, because I want you to be regulated, because then you end up talking to Russia today about how you want a real life Wakanda. That does not help. Like, that does not help.
Well, so I don't know. It's a slippery slope, man. It really is, because when you say you don't consider your friends getting together and shooting a militia, well, the governor of Virginia thinks very different, and all the congressmen, all that other stuff in Virginia, think very different about that. In fact, some of the bills they were putting forward, they were going to try to shut down shooting ranges. Like, you couldn't gather to go shooting. Like, these are the type of things that they were trying to put in place. They were trying to write in laws where if you owned AR-15 or semi-automatic weapons of that nature, you have to turn them in by a certain point, or they would come for you. Like, so that's why I say there's certain elements that are coming into play that go beyond lines of color at this point.
Yeah, I can see where it'll be an overarching thing, but where the colorism comes in and where the racial disparity comes in is where the NFAC can get together as like, here's the thing. So the Proud Boys, 3%ers, Boogaloo Boys, everybody else can get together, and we're either mocking them or they're getting together and everybody's like, okay, you know, they're just getting together and doing their thing. They're okay. But when NFAC gets together in real formation with all their guns and their gear on and marching in a straight line past Stone Mountain, Georgia, everybody's up in arms. Everybody's ready to call out the National Guard. Everybody's all of a sudden, you know, where are the 3%ers? Come protect us. Protect you from what? They're doing the same thing that those guys are doing. They just happen to look a little better doing it. They got some swag to it. So for the NFAC to get together and say their piece, and in this Russia Today article, I mean, this is definitely where I like draw the line, where he's saying that his aim is a black only exodus to Africa and to get a seat at the UN like everybody else. 45 million of us is a nation within a nation, so we could take ourselves to a place where two countries friendly to us are willing to carve out some land. Good luck with that. Basically, He wants a black ethno state. And when I hear black ethno state, my mind automatically goes to ISIS, because they wanted a caliphate. Good night, Dialect. Thank you so much for running the board. They wanted their own little piece of land. They wanted their own little state.
Right.
Nobody was going for it. Now, here you are declaring to Russian Today that you want an ethno state. How are people supposed to take them? Like, damn, dude, you were right there. You were at the 10-yard line. Why'd you bring up your own real life Wakanda? And then he gonna talk about how every other entity has theirs. We should have ours. Then he's saying, like, BLM doesn't believe in violence. We do. I'm like, man, why'd you have to put it like that? You gonna scare the company. Like, if you
they're already scared without even saying that. But anyway,
look, you just making it worse. Like, they went to march at Stone Mountain on July 4th because that militia had already said that they were going to show up to protect whoever was there and counter protest as it was, because nobody wants Stone Mountain up there. They want to sandblast Stone Mountain. Geologists will tell you that's really not possible at this point, but why let science get in the way? He's saying, Jay is saying it's not his mission to save America. He tried to run for president at one point. He's saying the NFAC is only for blacks. We want our own state. They got the message that if you keep shooting us, we're going to start shooting back. I'm just like,
well, hold on. So hold on. I'm this is where I kind of and I got a little bit of flack.
Oh wait, Jeff Sizemore just made a good point. So Jeff, that's a good point. Grandmaster Jay has specifically said that they are not affiliated with BLM, and he has said that he wanted to specifically make that point to say that we are not their militia. We are our own entity. So that is a good point. Everybody kind of conflates the two. They may support the message, but they are not affiliated with the organization. So Architect, go ahead.
No, so I got a little bit of flack for this, and maybe I just try to think too logical in a lot of areas. So when he says that they believe in violence, and all that, it doesn't shock me. It doesn't make me go, oh my God, this guy's crazy, right? Because when you look at a lot of the things that are happening, again, I'm going to go back to we're human beings. When the shit keeps hitting the fan and it keeps happening over and over again, now you're starting to play into emotions of a group of people, right? So to hear him say we believe in violence and we'll shoot back and this, that, and the third, it doesn't surprise me. There's no shock value to that for me. It doesn't, and in fact, it doesn't even bother me because it's like the bully at school. You know, you keep fucking kicking, smack me in the back of the head, keep doing what you're doing. Well, one day you're gonna get punched in your mouth back, right? So every action has a reaction, and I'm not saying that it's justified. I'm just saying that it makes sense.
It doesn't. It makes logical sense, but that's definitely where if Juana want to debate, we can have one because I don't believe in taking it that way because our bully is bigger, and they have F-35s, so it will never be equal. It will never be equal. Like Fred was saying earlier, and when you are at those gun ranges together, and you are all carrying, and you are all strapped up like Rambo or whatever, you are all on an even relatively playing field. So everybody's polite, eating their sandwiches, and everything's a good time. The minute you step outside that contrived world and you have to step into the other, it's not an equal playing field. So for these militias to come along and say that they're going to be the ones to protect us from a government that tax them specifically to take their money to go out and buy the weaponry to kill you 1,500 times over, in what world are you going to protect us from that government overreach when they have entire ships in Norfolk?
Well, that's where Juan was shooting from.
They will take out Rhode Island, motherfucker.
That's where that's where Juan was shooting from earlier when we had the discussion earlier, and he came in about gassing and all that. He came in a little too early.
Trying to get at, but we weren't there in the conversation.
We weren't there yet, right? And to Jeff's point, right? NAVFAC is not the only black militia in America. It's maybe the one that they're putting in your face because of the shock value that he brings. You know what I mean? And that's why I say there's a people are very misinformed when it comes to militias. It's not a group of ragtag Billy Bob and Jimmy chewing tobacco.
Right.
Coming together. There are well prepared individuals that are involved in this stuff, and it's people of all colors.
Yeah. Because I do not take for granted that there were people of color counter protesting in Portland. I do not take for granted that in Charlottesville, there may have been people of color in that crowd carrying a torch or a makeshift shield, which is what they always seem to show up with. I am not naive to that idea. But I just take it with a grain of salt that most of the time it's going to be an us against them mentality when it comes to these things. And for me, I just don't see how we can think it's okay to come at it from that standpoint. Because if we're already not accepted when we try to use the proper channels, and we're already not accepted when we try to go to the extreme, isn't there a middle ground between, like I said, everybody having their own rocket launcher and die-ins at the Capitol? Like, isn't there a middle ground?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, the one thing that I noticed is once I trained up and became knowledgeable and started carrying every day, I found myself looking at people's waist. And the reason
your mindset changed.
Yeah. And what I learned is there are a lot more armed people than you think if you know what to look for and what you need to be paying attention to.
And
You would
see,
be very surprised to know, like, what you walk by and you're like, da di da di da, just got my new bag and my new Louis Vuittons. There's probably about 10 of them. It's 10 of them sitting around you that are locked and loaded and ready, and one in the chamber ready to fly. You know,
wow. I mean,
America.
So, I mean, we really, that's where we diverge, because I am going to remain, I guess, that person that is just, I hate the idea of saying red pill, blue pill, but it's like once you do gain that knowledge, like you said, your mindset is going to change, your perspective is going to change. Once I step into that world, am I going to be okay being there? Can I handle that emotionally?
Everything's about
mentally?
intention, Diva. Everything's about intention, and I won't lie and say that when I initially started concealed carry, that because I'm about energy.
Yeah,
I really feed off of energy, and so in my mind, my thought was, am I bringing that energy to me? You know,
thank you. Yeah,
am I
yeah,
bringing conflict my way? But what I learned is my intentions aren't to bring conflict to the table. My intention is to, number one, protect myself, be able to get the fuck out of Dodge. And if I do have to do anything that I have to, I know it's going to be for the good of. You know what I mean? It's going to be
yeah.
in a nature of protection
No,
as opposed to,
that's one thing I can agree on. I do believe that there is an energy you can bring to you. Like once you step into a certain world, it envelops you, and that's how you're going to start thinking and moving. And you've got to be careful with that. Do I want to have that? Do I want my mind to change to where I have to now be, on swivel constantly? Now that I'm carrying, do I need, like you said, do I need to start looking at waists and hips? Like, is that something I'm ready for? And I think that's not something people think of either. Are you ready for that responsibility? Because again, it's not a matter of just going and picking up a nice little, collector's edition package. Like when you get to PS4 or something and everything's in a bundle. That's not what you do when you go get a gun. You've got to get everything's a la carte. So you have to go get
Mhm.
everything. And are you prepared for that commitment?
Yeah.
Are you prepared to be a gun owner and everything that comes with it? And Jeff is making a good point. He's saying to counter my sorry folks, to counter my point, we've been at war for 16 plus years, under-equipped, with a country of far under-equipped, organized, and capable people. Do you think the US population is less savvy? Or yes. We are in no way ready for people who fight throwing rocks. They will pick up rocks to throw at drones. They do not give a fuck. So we are not prepared for the way these people fight. Do you realize that the military had to change the uniforms for the way that they fight? When they started this, no. The U.S. is not, the people who were standing on their lawn pointing pea shooters at the protesters that broke the gate, those people are not ready. Those people are not, Karen and Ken are not ready, because Karen was already like wobbly and she was pointing it at the back of Ken's head. So no, those people, those gun owners are not ready.
Yeah,
And that's
you
what I'm
can't.
afraid of.
You have to understand, and you have to have a mindset of you can't be a person that's that allows fear to rule. If you allow fear to rule, you are not the proper person to be dealing with a firearm.
Right.
You you have to be able to think in layers. You have to understand that every movement, every action that you make has an equal and opposite reaction. You aren't invincible because you have one on your hip. You know, there's definitely a certain way you got to move. There's definitely a change of thought in the way that you operate every day as a
We
carrier.
want to thank everybody who's been rocking with us so far. We're still having this discussion. It's going to be a long playback, folks, but we are talking about guns. We knew we were taking on a big topic and a lot of little topics that were in it, but we wanted to have this discussion on this platform to inform our viewers around the world. We know we have an international audience, and our viewers in the U.S., to give them information. We're going to have links and things in the description to let you know about the information that's out there, and then you can take that and make your own informed decisions. I turn my head a lot to read from links that I'm looking at, because I am in the same boat doing research. I am nowhere near an expert on any of things We're discussing. These are two people with their own discussions. Architect is a little more versed when it comes to guns than me, so he's playing that role, and I'm learning and discussing along the way as well. We've had some great audience and panel members tonight. You can still call in if you're still rocking with us and you're still part of the discussion. We would love for you to be a part of it. We're going to move into Stand Your Ground. Stand Your Ground pisses me off. Stand Your Ground killed Trayvon Martin. And even doing the research.
Let me before we go that deep, right? Because
all right,
when you did all the hair and wiped your face, because that showed me that there's emotion attached to that, right?
Yes.
Stand Your Ground didn't kill Trayvon Martin. A fucking idiot killed Trayvon Martin. Somebody that I'm not saying that the law is perfect and all that. I'm just saying that a fucking idiot with the wrong frame of mind, with a gun, killed Trayvon Martin. A person that allowed fear to rule them killed Trayvon Martin. And that's why I say gun ownership, you have to think a certain way. Not everybody should be handling them. You know, if I'm getting scared over the littlest shit, there's no reason in the world that you should be owning a gun. Anyway, continue.
Micah Mitchell, I see you on Twitch. Thanks for tuning in for us. We hope you'll call in or continue to chat in the chat on Twitch. And I know LN Edificio is still in there rocking with us. I promise my mind is right. Don't worry. The guys are just going to tease me about Louis Vuitton and pretty guns. Stand Your Ground pisses me off because it definitely has racial bias baked into it. And from the research that I did, looking at it and reading up on it, it's been proven to a degree. It's had its independent research. And of course, we all lived through the trial of Trayvon Martin's killer. I don't even want to say his name. And basically, one of the places you can go first to check out information about the law was the United States Civil Rights Commission. It's usccr.gov. And they did a whole report for the U.S. Congress on what Stand Your Ground would mean since the inception of the law. Now, it started in 2005 in Florida. Of course, Florida. And the law extended the common law castle doctrine embedded in most state laws to go beyond the confines of one's home and into any area where a person has a right to be in defense of their person or property under the common law. The use of deadly force in the exercise of self-defense was justified in the case of a person defending their home. Until then, the rule of retreat dictated that a person had a duty to remove themselves from perceived harm. This was modified under early American jurisprudence to include any situation in which the defendant was in reasonable fear of imminent death or severe bodily harm. So then come behind that now, up until 2012, 7 years had passed since the 2005 Stand Your Ground law, which is the colloquialism for the bill, passed in Florida. The American Bar Association now these are not racial groups. These are not, agenda-driven groups. American Bar Association came together and in their racial, ethnic, and justice project found that the enforcement of Stand Your Ground laws appears biased against people of color in general and women specifically in the home. The policy implications are especially stark because these findings contradict recent research conducted for the U.S. Senate. Now, I found that information on Wiley.com, the online library. Great source for information and sociological papers. They do a great job with their information. Stand Your Ground laws basically exacerbate gender bias. And Stand Your Ground outside of the castle doctrine made no fucking sense in the first place. And it caused more homicides. Significantly research-based, peer-reviewed, it has been shown that it has caused more homicides in Florida than it has prevented, which was the whole point of making Stand Your Ground in the first place. Oh, we want you guys to be safe wherever you go. Thanks for nothing. Because not only is it biased against people of color, it's also biased against women.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you where a similar situation that's gonna, and once all that stuff pans out, was the shooting in Georgia, where they chased a young man down with the cars in the neighborhood, and because they thought it was that one is going to be crazy because of the way that the laws are written. That one, I'm really watching that one.
I am watching that one with a lot of interest. I watched the pretrial hearing, and their lawyers hadn't come up with stand your ground yet. They were researching stand your ground. At first, they wanted to make a defense that their clients were in fear and didn't have a duty to retreat, and they were setting themselves up for that defense in the pretrial hearing. Now they've gone ahead and invoked stand your ground. So I'm looking to see, like you said, with interest, how this continues to play out in Georgia and what it's going to mean for stand your ground in that state. But the research is clear. Since 2005, we're in 2020 now, so 15 good years of research and legal precedent has shown that not only are women more likely to be victims of that violence, and when they try to remove themselves or defend themselves against the violence, they will be the victim of a prosecutorial bias. It also shows that people who are transgender, people who are of color, people who are, anything that is an other category are the ones who will suffer in the enforcement of this law. So stand your ground has not protected anybody.
Well, you got to look at
Stand
who's
your
writing the
ground didn't
laws.
make any
I mean,
sense.
anything that's written is going to be biased in the individuals that are writing it, right? So it only makes sense.
I mean, I'm trying to find the case, and I don't want to keep opening up windows, but the splcenter.org has a report that they're showing where they're saying there was a case, and I think Juan brought it up as well. Juan's on the boards, where a young lady in Florida shot a warning shot against her abuser. First of all, don't shoot warning shots. I think that is something you should tell you. Don't shoot warning shots. If you're going to shoot a gun, shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
Aim it, shoot it. Because if you pull it, and I've always heard this, if you pull it, you better use it.
Yeah. And so Jeff was saying he doesn't think in the Ahmaud Arbery he thinks it was clear-cut murder, no doubt about it. And I agree, Jeff, 100%. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that the way that I've understood and the way that it's been explained to me, and that the way that the Georgia laws are written, there's a possibility that they might slide out of that. They might get off of that. And that's why I say I'm watching that real close, because the way that stuff is, there's so many blurred lines in the way that that's written. And once again, I mean, who's writing the laws? Anything that's written is biased, and the individuals writing it. So in my opinion, that's one of the biggest cases that I'm paying attention to see how it goes.
I mean, I wish I should have had this window open where it was talking about the young woman who was convicted for 20 years of trying to defend herself against her abuser. She tried to invoke the stand your ground defense and lost horribly. And I don't know if her case has come up on appeal yet. I don't know how many appeals she's got left. I'll have to do more research about that. I'm hoping the audience, knows what I'm referring to, or they've researched it for themselves. But stand your ground as a law has not done anything to help in preventing homicides. It's actually increased them 47% in Florida, where the law was set up to have this defense. So Castle Doctrine should have stayed in the home. Castle Doctrine should not follow you outside your home. And that is a stance I will take, because stand your ground, to me, it hasn't done any good. Can you stand your ground with a bat? Can you stand your ground with a replica samurai sword?
No, I guess it depends on what the other person holds.
I'm just like over it. And even in Idaho, so I did find this one article in the Idaho State Journal. This one chick in Idaho who I think Idaho is definitely the survivalist, mecca. They're definitely up there in like camouflage trees eating beans out of the can. Even she was saying stand your ground is a modern day racist lynch law. I mean, if the possibly Mormon chick up here in Idaho thinks that, how is anybody else oblivious to that idea? There is no way this makes any sense as a legislative tool. And to this day, I don't understand what the person
did. Did you just shake your head like that? Did you just give me the? Yeah, you did.
I just can't. I mean, this is considered. We were discussing gun control throughout this discussion, not to the point of discussing specific bills or legislature, but I am definitely a proponent of gun control. If you're going to have something that powerful, you need to control it. There needs to be some rules. There's rules in kickball. You're telling me there shouldn't be rules for gun ownership?
So what do you see? See, because then there becomes a fine line between control and actual. Control can get very out of hand as well.
Like I said, there's rules for kickball. Why isn't it okay for there to be rules for gun ownership? No, you can't have your own rocket launcher. No, you can't have,
Who has rocket launchers?
something that can split a deer in half.
You sound like Juan.
Like,
No one has no rocket launchers.
that's the hyperbolic way of putting it. But I mean, if you want to discuss it, in more, realistic terms, no, I don't think everybody needs 15 AR-15s.
So
I don't think that's necessary.
Let me explain it to you, right?
Right.
I can have a Glock with a 50 drum attached to it. That's a handgun, right? And I can pull that trigger 50 times, and it's going to shoot 50 times as fast as I pull that trigger, right?
Right.
The only difference is the size of the gun, right? And so, and then, so it starts getting into these like little gray areas where it starts to encroach on actual gun ownership as a whole. That's the only reason why I say that.
But see, why are there so many gray areas? Why are y'all trying to come up with these little ticky-tack ways like Juan to think of every nuance of every little hypothetical situation of where you just have to have this when people are really just trying to say, look, be careful with this.
No, I agree.
Don't do this, and this. Well, what if I do this? Well, what if I need this? Well, what if?
What is the common? Here's what I say to everybody. What is the common thread on every mass shooting that we've had? What is the common thread?
Assault weaponry?
Outside of the obvious, the mind behind the gun is the common thread.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say a male white shooter.
They've been sick. They've always people talk about how they've been in therapy or they need
mental health. Yeah,
mental health is the issue here.
Yeah,
that's the issue. If I put a gun down and look at it, it's not going to shoot by itself.
I really hate that argument.
But it's the facts. It's an inanimate object.
That argument is so like
the mind of a person is what has to do with what's behind the gun. Mental
but
health.
What that gun is capable of. That gun on that table is not there to hammer nails. That gun on that table is to destroy something.
Okay.
And yes, the person
but
who
your
picks
mind
it up
has to want to do that.
Intention. I mean, it's going to destroy either a paper target, a deer, or a person. It is not there to help you tie ribbons on presents.
No, exactly.
So don't tell me just sitting there on the table doing nothing.
And psychiatrists and therapists are in short. There's not enough supply of them in this in America. We need to focus more on that than talking about immediately you take the gun away. Like to me that's BS.
No, man, because if you all are tired of the race card, well, we're tired of the mental illness card. Everybody's suffering from something right now. But that doesn't mean that they go out and pick up a gun. I could be schizophrenic right now. That doesn't mean I'm going to go and shoot everybody in the post office. People make conscious decisions to pick up whatever they pick up. Just like in the UK, it's mostly stabbings. They make a conscious decision to pick up whatever they can pick up to destroy as much as they can, as quickly as they can. What is it in America? A gun.
Right, but then again, but you look at every individual that's had the gun, there's been a mental health issue with them, or at least that's what they say.
That's what they say,
right? So I mean, and I'll go that way. I'll play devil's advocate, and at least that's what they tell us.
Go ahead. Yeah, at least that's what they tell us.
And again, my thing is, it's about intention. You know what I mean? Everything is about intention.
But it doesn't have to be the intention of the person. What else is a gun made for?
It's made to shoot.
Shoot.
And it depends on the intention. If I intend to shoot the target, it's intended to hit the target. If I'm trying to defend myself, the intention is to defend myself. It depends on the mind of the person behind the gun.
Arctic, you know full well that gun is made to hurt something. It's made to harm. It's made to destroy.
It's made to do whatever It's made to do whatever I plan to do with it.
Charlie gets it to me for effort. This is what I'm trying to get you to say, because you know full damn well that gun is not made to tie ribbons.
Hold on. If I'm at a range, that gun is meant to hit what's downrange, right?
Destroy it.
Right. Whatever's downrange.
Yep.
If my life is in danger, yes, it's fucking meant to kill.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. It's about intention. It's not the gun; it's the mind behind the gun.
I'm gonna get you. This is what Juan wanted. He wanted us to argue. And I'm sorry, I'm going to argue that point. Guns are not made to do anything else but destroy, harm, or kill. Whatever your intention is. Now, you want to play the whole set it on the table, it's not going to do anything by itself. That's fine. But it's also not going to, diaper a baby. It's also not going to, be a bottle for a kitten. It is made to shoot the deer so that you can then proceed to dress it. It's made to hit the target so you can score a point. Or it
Okay.
is made to cut somebody in fucking half.
Okay, depending on the intention of when you pull the trigger.
I'm dead. So now we're going to talk about. So done with you. So now we're going to talk about. Hate you. Jeff, it's not an argument, really, do you see? No, it is an argument. Come on now. You know full well what you do.
Very well put, Jeff. Very well put. Yes. What do you
Oh
say?
my
Yes.
goodness.
What do you say?
What
Yes.
did he
Guns
say?
are designed to do what we all know. Shoot, result of which is destruction of the target, paper, steel, flesh. Boom.
That's
About the
it.
intention. It's about the intention.
Ooh, I can't stand you. So we're going to talk about red flag laws because you do have a point about mental health. Now, that is a factor. It's not the only reason for a lot of what's been going on, but it is a serious factor. And people have made the point that if more mental health issues were addressed in this country, if it was caught earlier, if people were getting the proper help they need, we would not have the mass shootings that we're having. So I want to point to an article in the Winchester Star that talked about the fact that one of the first, I think is it Virginia? Winchester? Is there a Winchester, Virginia?
Oh, yeah, buddy. Keep going. Virginia's a mess.
So basically, it's saying in Frederick County, a man whose guns were seized in the first enforcement of Virginia's new red flag law has had them returned. Now, this just happened this weekend. Oh, Chris. Hey there, you snuck up on us.
Hey, Miss Diva, how are you?
How are
What's
you?
going on, Chris?
I got to start by saying, beautiful points and very admirable from both of you. Even though they differ a little bit, I can definitely see both your state of minds. And the only reason that I wanted to come on and say anything, I'm not trying to distract from you two, but I'm a certified police officer in the state of Arkansas. And I made the mistake because George Floyd, right? You dropping a knee in somebody's back, yes, that's a procedure that's proven, and that's what's taught, and I would imagine that's throughout the nation.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, ain't nobody teaching you to drop your knee in somebody's neck. And guess what? I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong.
Yep.
My wife found the manual for Milwaukee Police Department. And yes, you can drop. They teach this. In Milwaukee, you can drop your knee in somebody's neck, even though he's already restrained with his arms cuffed behind his back.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe? What world are we living in that's okay?
I would like to know. That's why they're afraid they might get off, Chris, because it was in the manual and they were trained.
How is that ever in any manual? I told my wife, I was like, ain't nobody teaching that ever. Never, ever in any place. Yeah, I'm coming down. Okay, just go on. I'm talking.
Hey, girl.
No, but seriously, my wife said they're teaching it in Milwaukee, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. And sure enough, yes, it is. It's perfectly fine. It's a proven tactic. It's taught. It's in the manual. Drop your motherfucking knee in somebody's neck and see what happens.
Yes, sir. Unfortunately,
that is crazy. And this dude is already let's not forget that part. That part is the most important part. This dude has already got his hands handcuffed behind his back. Where is he going?
Prone on the ground
Where
with two
is he
dudes
going?
holding his legs that are out of camera. But you, from across the street, you can see two dudes were holding his legs.
Where is he going? Like, why do we need
Can I
to
just ask you, Chris, please keep this attitude. Please keep this attitude that this is unfathomable to you, and it will help you go a long way.
I'm not a cop now. Like, I left after I
Oh.
saw too much. But yeah,
Oh,
I'm still
honey.
certified. I'm just not appointed.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this shit is fucking stupid, man. Like, for that to be in any state, in any, you know, municipality, okay, that you could just, like, I would understand, like, if you're still trying to apprehend someone, maybe, and like your knee just like happened to become upon somebody's neck. That's one thing. This dude is handcuffed. He's on his stomach with his hands behind his back, and you're just like chilling on his neck. Come on, man. Like, you got to do better than that. You
Chris, we appreciate you. I appreciate the attitude, architect. I mean, yeah.
Agreed.
Your wife gonna get mad at you. You better go.
Well, my wife's mad at me because I'm talking shit, and not.
Don't have her mad at you, Chris. Y'all tune in for the replay together.
All right, hold
tell her you were giving her props.
All right, I'm gonna do that. Y'all stay with me.
What?
I'm gonna bring her.
You just trying to play it safe so she don't beat you when you get down there. He wants proof. He wants proof.
Oh Lord, the dog's going crazy.
They want to talk to you now.
Why? You don't put it on us.
We just want.
Ma'am. Oh, she's beautiful.
We just want to make sure that you don't beat him for talking to us. He told us before he went downstairs. He said, "I need you guys to be with me, so when I go down there, she doesn't give me them hands."
Yeah, record this.
Pretty girls don't do that.
All right.
All right, man. We ain't gonna hold you. He was giving you props, just so you know. He was talking about my wife said this and my wife said that. So he was talking good about you.
See?
Oh, see, look at that. All right, y'all have a good evening now.
So we was on red flag laws, right?
Yes, sir. Red flag laws, basically in Winchester and Frederick County in Virginia. This guy had his guns returned this past weekend. And it was because it worked the way it was supposed to. I am a proponent of red flag laws because I believe that it ties into, and I mentioned this at the top of the show, it ties into domestic violence for me because a lot of the time the people that have the weaponry in their house, the people that have the weapons in the house do intend to use them in a domestic situation. So red flag law had that as their basis when they were introduced. So this man said, who has not been named because he was not charged with a crime. So the Winchester determined they were not going to name him. But basically, he was saying it was a conspiracy by his son and his father to take his guns because they were both mad at him. So they went to the sheriff's office, and he's saying they filed a false report saying that, you know, he was threatening them and he was going to harm them. But red flag laws go through a judge. It's not like a protective order. And even then you go through a judge. The judge determined with the evidence presented to him that he should have those guns seized for the moment. And then when he came to trial and explained to the judge why he should have them back, the judge gave them back. It worked the way it was supposed to. So people who are saying they're coming to get my guns, it worked the way it was supposed to.
If it works the way it's supposed to, that's one thing. But when it's where are the lines drawn when that red flag is raised, right? Just because somebody says he's got a gun and he's crazy and he's gonna do this and the third, doesn't necessarily mean that's true. It could be a vendetta. It could be unwarranted. So right, I agree to a degree, Jeff. I definitely agree. He said red flag laws are straight out of the movie Minority Report. So
Minority Report? Oh, I didn't see that movie. What
so you're
happened?
trying basically the movie is like they predict that crimes are going to happen and they go get them before the crime happens.
Oh, okay. I've heard the premise. I didn't know if there was something specific.
So it's weird because I get the intention, I get the idea of what they're trying to say, but it can be used in very ill-mannered ways. So I'm on the fence with that one right now.
But that's what I mean. It worked the way it was supposed to. He said they had a vendetta. The judge, he took them first. It's like if you have kids and they're both saying they each did it, and the half a cupcake is in the floor. You take the cupcake, put it somewhere, and then you talk to them both. Be like, okay, what'd you do? What'd you do? Well, you know what? As the parent or judge in this case, I determined I'm gonna eat the cupcake, and you all go about your business. The red flag law worked the way it was supposed to. They took his guns, told him to come to court. They presented what evidence they had. He said, no, that's not true. Here's my evidence. And the judge determined, okay, you know what? I believe you. Here are your guns back.
Mm-hmm.
It worked the way it was supposed to. That is the due process. The judge is the due process. But the raise that red flag is supposed to be there for someone who is mentally unstable. Your son who has PTSD is determining that the dragons are telling him to go shoot up the post office. Yes, I've heard of swatting. I'll get to that in a second. It's supposed to be for somebody who is in a domestic situation. I'm afraid my grandfather is going to kill my kids if I leave them home alone with him and his pistols. That's what it's supposed to be there
I get that. But then you might have the scorned wife who's like, you didn't want what? You didn't do that? Oh yeah, he's over here acting crazy. And cops come and snatch up all his shit, throw him in jail, whatever the hell they're gonna do with him. Come to find out she was the crazy one and just trying to call him out and mess his life up. That's all I'm saying.
It doesn't mess your life up. You're not charged with anything. There's no crime. You're coming. It's like I said. You're basically coming in to explain why we should give you your stuff back. Because
if it's documented that somebody said your ass is crazy, that ain't no good.
If it's documented, it was probably they are going to look for that. Okay, see, this is where I want people who are back the blue to come in and say something, because if it's documented, then you are supposed to be putting your faith in the investigators to investigate your case and help you get your due process. Because if you believe in them and they're going to look out for you and do what's right, then they are going to believe you and you'll get justice because it's the truth. So if they are going to investigate and find, you know what, you're right, your wife was just trying to hem you up, blah, blah, we're going to give you your stuff back. That's what the judge is for. But if it turns out your wife has got her eyeball in her hand because you keep whipping her ass and now you've got a shotgun, they should come and get them. Red flag laws
for sure. No doubt about that. I understand the premise of it.
Swatting is not in the same school in my mind, because swatting is when, like, remember that guy that got killed in Arkansas where Chris is, because the one gamer got killed because the gamer got mad that some guy owed him $5 on an online bet over Call of Duty. And so he made this guy in LA. I'm serious. He called this guy in LA to put a hit on the kid in Arkansas, but it turns out that kid gave him the wrong address, trying to be slick. So the guy in LA called in the SWAT team it was Kansas. Called the SWAT team in Kansas. SWAT goes in. As soon as the guy opens the door, they shoot him.
So here you go. And this is where I am as far as, like Jeff said. He was saying, yeah, but now you have your record, and that doesn't look great.
I don't think it goes on your record. It depends on the state, because it's not a crime. You haven't been charged with anything.
I don't know.
Red flag laws belong there.
I don't know. I think Jeff needs to call in. They don't believe women any other time. I think Jeff needs to call in and reprimand you for that.
Whatever.
And like he said, the court systems are flawed anyway. So
we all know that. But
that's why that's being the point, right? So now you have that on your record, and then now who's to say the court's going to treat you justly to begin with? In that specific case,
if you believe in the system, if you believe in the justice system,
so you believe in it. You believe in a justice system?
Hell no.
Okay, so there we have it. All right, let's move to the next topic.
Fine. Here's the thing. Okay, we talked about this before when Black Diamond was on, and when Drake and Mr. Townsend was on. Guns are expensive. Now, the gun that I had decided on at one point that my friend took me to see at Cabela's over here, that we decided would fit in my hand, would be a good defense gun to have in the house, not for carry, and would help me with my lack of proficiency when it came to aiming. Had a red light on it, had a dot on it, not a scope, but it had a dot on it. $739. I'm like, bitch, I wish I would.
What was it? What was it?
$739.
See,
It
no.
wasn't a 6 hour.
You do not come here talking about a gun you thought you was gonna get that fits you, and you can't tell me about it.
I'm sorry.
Answer. Wrong answer, Diva. You will. That is no good. No.
I can't remember. It was 2 years. The point is, I remember that price. $739.
So you forgot about everything else once the price hit you, huh?
Thank you. And Cabela's was trying to get me to open a credit card and take 20% off. My point is that, it's expensive to do it the right way. And in my mind, the right way, I'm in Walmart. Oh, okay. So yeah, that happens. That happened to what was his name? Not Khalif Browder.
She called in. She said, "I'm sorry, Jeff."
A skinhead menacing people in Walmart. She called you a skinhead. Are there skinheads in Virginia?
Well, he's in Alabama.
Oh, he's in Alabama.
But he's by way of Virginia, yeah. So, but
I mean, welcome to our world. Like, there's a guy. I keep saying there's a guy, but there is the man that was in Walmart with the BB gun, and they called the police on him, and the police came around the aisle. Bam, bam, he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So you're here to tell the tale. I'm like, The Hangover. But did you die?
Mm-hmm. Crazy world.
Guns are expensive, and for me, the right way is to get the gun, the ammo, the safe, and what else did I want to get? And that's it. So the gun, the ammo, the safe. I don't have a concealed carry, so I don't need to carry it. And just to have it in the house. So, I mean...
Well, are you guys open carry? Where you got? North Carolina, right?
I'm in North Carolina, so
So you open carry? No?
Are we? No.
Is North Carolina not open carry?
Open carry?
I don't know. I'm curious now. Jeff's pretty knowledgeable in that area. Is North Carolina open carry?
It is?
I don't know that was his answer to that. I think that was
he might have been
something
talking
else.
about something else.
Yeah, but
if anybody knows if North Carolina, I know I'm in North Carolina, but I don't feel like Googling right now. If anybody knows if North Carolina's open carry, let me know. I haven't seen it because
Robert Williams, North Carolina.
North Carolina's open carry.
So there you go, Diva. Throw that joint right on your head.
I'm surprised I haven't seen more people doing it then. To be honest, I haven't really seen anybody strapped up like Rambo with 2 shotguns on their back or anything. I haven't seen.
I saw a guy the other day driving behind a pickup here in VA, and he had an AR on his rifle rack in his pickup.
AR on his rifle. Okay, see.
With the scope, I was like, bro, yeah, you really let them know.
Oh, Architect, one misconception we're going to clear up, if we can do anything, tell people what AR stands for in AR-15.
Armament rifle. It's not assault rifle.
It's not assault rifle. That's the point. Right. It doesn't stand for assault rifle 15. It stands for armed rifle, basically.
Armament, right.
It's important that you purchase from a reputable shop and go through the proper channels. And like I said, I don't think you should be purchasing from your friend whose dad needs to make some money to buy a new transmission, and he's just going to give it to you. Don't buy on Craigslist. I don't think that's a good idea. I mean,
they're even changing that stuff now too, unless it's like direct family. I think they're changing it now to where you still have to go through the checks, where before it should just be signing. It used to, at least in Virginia, used to just be signing the Armor Light. There you go, Robert. Armor Light.
Armor Light
rifle, right?
Armor Light rifle. So just so people understand, it doesn't automatically mean assault rifle. It means That's kind of like the model number. That's what it's for. No, there are people who think it stands for assault rifle.
Yeah, yeah.
No, when I did my research, I realized it didn't. But there are people who still think AR-15 stands for assault rifle 15.
Nah, it just fits their narrative.
The reason I'm talking about getting your guns through a reputable shop like Black Diamond Firearms, hashtag not sponsored, is because I'm
Yeah.
also scared about the fact that there are things called ghost guns. And I know Juan doesn't have any images or links left anymore, so I'm going to talk about the fact that a ghost arm is a firearm manufactured outside of the traditional supply chain. It can be printed on a 3D printer or assembled with parts sold by the dozens of companies that create nearly completed firearms, known as 80% receivers, which require no background check to sell. A ghost gun subverts the system entirely because it doesn't automatically get stamped with a serial number, isn't sold by a federally licensed dealer, and doesn't generate paperwork. And we had a picture of, I don't think Juan has access to it unless he wants to go into the outline. We had a picture of a ghost gun that the ATF picked up in their Sacramento office. This looks like a normal gun that I would pick up.
It is. It is. The only difference is a lot of times you have to do the machining and the trigger set, if I'm not mistaken, when you deal with those.
It's like you've got almost everything you need. It's like a puzzle. They give you almost everything and you have to finish it.
Right.
And that's not cute. A 3D printer. And at one point when I was researching paper guns, you can make guns out of anything and you can sneak them on the plane. You can get them through metal detectors into courthouses. We're trying to keep track of it so that if something tragic happens, we can work backwards to investigate it. That is the point of having regulation and control.
Or in the case of Virginia, they initially tried to write the assault weapons ban bill. They would come to your house and take it from you if you didn't turn it in by a certain time, which didn't pass. But they came very close to passing that. And I'm telling you what, all hell was going to break loose. I was a little concerned about what was going on in Richmond during the time.
Do you guys have a Democratic legislature up in Virginia?
Yep.
I think you do.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
Democratic majority.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, I'm not a rabid gun control person, but to me, it just makes logical sense to have some rules in place because then it's going to benefit everybody. Because if you're a responsible gun owner, like I am anticipating I can be, I don't want to be lumped in with people that are making ghost guns and that are like 3D printing, face masks and revolvers. I don't want to be lumped in with them. I'm doing everything the right way. So why should they be able to circumvent everything? Just, in the name of the Second Amendment, and more rights. It's like, no, I'm doing it the right way. You have to do it the right way.
Right. And I think that's why a lot of gun owners say what they say, when people are like, with all the control they try to put in, if I'm doing it the right way, why the hell are you harassing me and trying to write bills that are writing me out of being a gun owner?
Because of the assholes that are making ghost guns.
Right, but that's not our fault.
Well, go get them.
Get your shit together, government.
I'm so sick of you. So gun shows are another way that people circumvent the system. And I was interested in this because, like I said, another thing I think is big in the South more so than when I grew up north is gun shows, where it's just a big ass warehouse with a bunch of tables and guns are just laid out on them. I think there's a little bit sophisticated now, but gun shows are another way where people can just go in, say they have a gun for sale, and they just hand it to you. You hand them cash. And I think that, oh, Jeff, why won't Jeff call? There are more rules and laws regulating firearms than almost anything else you can name or think of. Shampoo. Sadly, many aren't enforced. Now, that's true. There are plenty of laws on the books. Yeah, that's the picture of the ghost gun. It looks like you could have bought that at Blackstone. Like, that's something that's probably worth some money if you made it the right way, and like 6 Hour made that or something. But that's something that somebody just like pieced together. You don't think they're an issue? I don't know. I mean, if you already think the government's out to get you and you're eating your beans in a can, aren't you making guns in the garage?
It's all intention. There's always going to be some in the bunch that fuck it up for everybody. That's the way I look at it.
That's what I'm saying. They're in a camouflage treehouse somewhere, making extra guns, and It's going to be an issue when we realize how much they got. Isn't that always the way it goes? Oh, he was the nicest guy. I don't know what happened. And the next thing you know, his shed had 15 AR-15s in them and enough ammo to bring down a herd of elephants in Tanzania. It don't make no sense.
Maybe he likes elephant meat.
First of all, problematic. Elephants are not endangered, but they are on a list somewhere, so leave the elephants out of this. He builds them. Hello, ATF, we are not affiliated with this person. I build them. I hate beans. What does John Crow say? Every black person who can should purchase a gun and get a concealed carry license. If your life matters, then you should protect it. Chris is back in the green room. Chris, give us just a second. We want to get through one more topic. We'll be happy to talk to you and your lovely wife in a second. But what do you eat instead, Jeff, instead of beans out of a can? Was he eating beanie weenies out of a can? I think ghost guns are in the idea that they're in the vein that people are trying to circumvent a system that's there for a reason. Shouldn't the people who want to have their guns want to participate in a system that's going to have it the legal way? Why would you want these guys messing it up for you? Architect.
Interesting. I'm sorry. Somebody said I can't point to a school shooting that a ghost gun was the issue.
I mean, I'm not saying it was an issue for school shootings. I'm just saying that it can be an issue because it speaks to the idea that people are trying to get around the system in place. And that system is in place for a reason. So shouldn't more people support that system so that it doesn't get out of hand and it doesn't become an issue? Yes, it's mostly criminals and cartels right now building and making their own guns.
I don't know. I think you might be surprised at how many people are building their own guns.
I'm not, because there was a person a few years ago who sold the blueprints for making them on a 3D printer. And he ended up getting hemmed up on some sexual assault charges. That was cringy. But he basically put it on the internet. And he, said this is free for everybody. And anybody that has a 3D printer, and 3D printers are about, $500 now, maybe a little less?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you need a certain type of printer that
if you need a certain type of one or how it goes. I think
yes, exactly, Kirk. Exactly.
If you don't know,
customizing, baby.
Customize, yeah. You might, if you don't know better, of course you could end up blowing the gun up in your hand. But if you know, like Jeff was saying, it could end up being something where you can just throw together, 15 guns in a weekend and you're set. And that's when it becomes a problem.
Jeff is digging in you right now, Diva. He ain't letting you breathe.
Name a violent crime where a ghost gun, self-made gun was actually used. I know of 2 in the last 20 years in this country. The reason I bring up ghost guns is because it circumvents a system that people say shouldn't be in place in the first place. Well, if you don't have this system in place, this is what the result is. That people are trying to you demonize the system, and now people are trying to figure out a way to get around it because they have basically demonized it. Well, they ain't gonna come and get me. They're not gonna come get my guns, and so I'm gonna make my own guns. Well, why are you gonna make them? We're trying to keep track of them for a reason, because when Crazy, I like grilled cheese, by the way, when Crazy decides that it's time to have Ruby Ridge 2, we are trying to figure out where did he get them. Oh, he made them in his shed. That's why I brought it up. Gun shows, though, are the places where now they're trying to close. Did you just shout out somebody's business?
Thanks for the website. I'm going to check that out, Jeff.
Hashtag not sponsored. Damn it, Jeff. Sick of your friend, Jeff. So gun shows are where they are trying to close the loopholes, because at gun shows you can be a licensed dealer next to Billy Bob just selling his extra guns to get gas money, and they are trying to close a loophole in the laws that say that everybody should be licensed and everybody should be running background checks, because once again, not everybody should have a gun. If you cannot do basic math, if you cannot count to 20 without taking off your shoes, you shouldn't have a gun. So they are trying to say that people should not be selling guns on Craigslist out of their garages, and that it should be more tightly regulated. And gun shows, for my part, I haven't seen where anybody's like doing like I saw in the article on gunsinamerica.org. It's gunsandamerica.org is where I got this story. And like I said, I'll put all these links everywhere that this show is going to be posted in the replay. If you're still watching the replay, thanks for hanging in there.
I
This
love
is
gun
what a gun
shows.
show typically looks like. And usually it's gun and knives shows down here. Now,
Yes.
myself, I like knives. But this is what it usually looks like. It's a big ass warehouse. Everybody's got a table. They've got their own setup. And that's where it comes from. But those are the things my friends usually try to take me to get a cheaper gun. And then I still balk at it because I'm like, some rando.
Some even have cotton candy and popcorn too.
They do?
Yeah, they still one out here in Fredericksburg.
Wait, they have food?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah, they got a cafeteria, everything.
I might change my mind. Okay, if they have funnel cake, I'm there. So they are really trying to close what's called the gun show loophole so that you still have to do background checks even at a show like this. Now, as you can see, it's very cash, looks like a flea market, something like that. You wouldn't expect that you'd have to go through a federally mandated system in order to pick up something from here, but because people have treated it like a flea market as another place to circumvent the system, people are trying to make sure that there is a system in place. Guns and knives go hand in hand.
Facts. That's facts.
No, I don't think. Don't they say you can't bring a knife to a gunfight?
You can with their gun.
Oh, okay. Are you talking about bayonet?
No. You just have a separate. Things might get too close quarters, and you might have to. You won't be able to aim.
I was going to bring up too. Like the gun is meant to be a far range weapon. Like what happens after they're already up on you? What good is a gun?
That's hand-to-hand combat. That's why people start talking.
That's hand-to-hand combat. You gotta throw that AR-15 down and throw hands.
That's what was it? Fred that was on earlier was saying. He does has his daughters in martial arts as well.
Oh yeah, that if he manages to get up on you or sneak up from behind, what you gonna do then? You've got to carry your documentation, and this is something I do want to touch on as well. And we'll bring Chris back on in a few moments because we're trying to get through the topics, folks. We're sorry that this is a long discussion, but it was needed to be done. We're trying to touch on as many points as we can and put out as much information as we can because we care about the hip hop citizens. So John Crow is making a good point now that he stepped in. We'd love it if you called in, John. We don't need more gun regulation. It's heavily regulated already. Gun shows are great resources. There are background checks at gun shows. From what I understand from my research, John, the background checks are through the federally licensed dealers, but in the same area, there could be somebody with just a sign on their backpack, I have 2 38s for sale, follow me to the parking lot, and they're making deals there. Now that's according to the research I found. Private sales as well. Juan, thank you for a reasonable phrase. Once you've purchased, will it need to be registered in your state? I believe so.
I mean, generally, when you go to pick up your gun from your dealer that you have it shipped to, you're filling out all kinds of information. So that's pretty much your registration. They're running it through state police system, at least in Virginia. And you're running through the same questionnaire every time. They're gonna run it through the system. You either sit and wait, or sometimes they make you wait a little longer. So it just depends on how backlogged the system is, Charlene. At least in Virginia. I don't know anywhere else. I'm just speaking to my area.
I believe in North Carolina, it is the federal system. I'm not completely versed in the legal side because, like I said, I'm a novice to gun ownership. I bought my purchase permits and I really haven't, used them yet. So I'm not sure if I could take my purchase permit to a gun show and use it there, or if I'd have to go through a store where I have to go through the federal system. Those are things that I'm still figuring out on my journey.
So Charlene was saying she's speaking on ghost guns. Ghost guns have to be registered, which I don't know. That's why they're ghost.
That's why they're ghost. Seen. That they're not stamped. They're not. They. It's just yours. It's like if you bought a hot dog somewhere. Like it would just be yours, and you could just go about your business. I'm gonna shoot this bitch that ran over my foot yesterday. Like, and nobody would ever be able to tie it to you. Again, depends on your state law. Make sure that when you are carrying, if you are going to carry, I know in Carolina you do have to have a concealed carry license, and I don't believe they're reciprocal, or if they are reciprocal, they're only reciprocal with a few states. Like I don't think Virginia does reciprocal CCWs.
Hey, the link is at the bottom, John. There's a pinned link at the bottom, and you just click there, and it'll bring you into the green room.
Yeah. We'd love to hear from you. There should be a pinned comment either here on Facebook or in YouTube. And if anybody's still listening on Twitch, thanks for hanging in there. We've always appreciated you guys. For documentation, I think that it's important that you carry it in a separate pouch or billfold that can be easily handed over. Because the next thing I want to talk about is making sure that you are safe when you are carrying. You've gotten to the point where you've purchased your gun and you are going to carry outside your home. That is how we lost Philando Castile. He was trying to be honest with the person that pulled him over and tell them that he was carrying. And this is what I don't like about cops, and I'm not going to get on that soapbox, but don't bark 1,000 orders and do like law enforcement hokey pokey. Like, put your hands up, put them out, that kind of thing. Like, pick a command, let them execute it, and then say the next one. Because he said, show me your ID and then show me your hands. And when Philando reached, that's how he got dead.
So that's I equate the same thing as far as a gun, owning a gun, and actually being an officer of the law. If you are ruled by fear and fear overtakes your logic, you should not have a damn badge. And that's that. Both.
It's simple.
Yeah. And I think that's a lot of the problem. You're taking somebody that doesn't understand the culture of an environment and placing them there and expecting them to understand how to communicate with those individuals. That's the problem I see a lot of times. Like if you're taking somebody that's lived in the suburbs their whole life and has never had for instance, Puerto Rican community, we're loud as hell. It might look like a fight, but we're actually joking. You know what I'm saying? And they walk up and they're like, these Mexicans are about to fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, there has to be an understanding of what's around you.
Speaking of police officers, it looks like Chris wants to talk to us one more time, Architect. So let's give him a couple of minutes. Juan, if you wanted to bring him in, I believe his lovely second half was going to be on the line. Chris, what did you want to add to this point in the conversation? We're talking about.
She don't want to talk to me no more, so it'll
she don't
be me. Nah, y'all are talking about a lot, but
yeah, we're trying to cover a lot.
Yeah, so there's 2 points that I want to add into. You mentioned the 3D printer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a matter of how much the printer costs as much as the filament that you are using in that 3D printer.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's the filament that is what's important. For example, like I can spend $1,000 on a 9mm, right? But I can spend $200 on a 30-06. You know what I'm saying? And the 30-06 is going to give you more push than a 9mm ever will. So it's a matter of what you're building with. All right, and then my second point, and the bigger of the two, is that as far as gun control is concerned, the dealers are the only ones that have to keep record of anything. They're the only ones that have to verify anything. So if a dealer sells me a gun, for example, as long as I'm, capable of owning a gun, I'm good. But me, I'm not a gun dealer. So I can sell you that gun and nobody gives a damn. Like,
right.
That part of the equation is what I think is ridiculous. It's like, it doesn't matter. I can get a gun today, right now, for $200. a 9mm plus for $200, and that doesn't have to even be checked. Why? Because there's enough people out there that have 9mm or 40s or 45s that are willing to sell them for $200. And
That's
nobody's
true.
checking any of that. Nobody is checking any of that.
That's what I don't like as someone who is a proponent of some sort of regulation, some sort of control over the system, because for every law that's in place, for every law that we don't enforce, there's 10 people trying to figure out a way around it.
All I'm saying is that for gun control, you are entirely too far away from it to be implemented. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I can buy
It's
a
hard
gun
to
today for
enforce.
$200 without even anybody knowing my name, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Here's what a lot of gun owners will say to counter that is you can write all the laws and do all the shit that you want to do. At the end of the day, the bad guy is going to do what the bad guy wants to do anyway. He don't follow laws.
I'm not saying that. I agree with you.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that's
no.
you know.
I agree with you. But if the issue at hand is gun control and how do we implement gun control, I can still buy a $200 9mm right now, right here, and nobody's ever gonna even know my name. I just can't do it at the gun dealer shop or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can't go to the gun dealer shop, but Craigslist has an army
Wow.
of guns that I could get right now, right here for $200.
So what do you think we can do to enforce the laws that are already on the books in a case like Craigslist?
If you really want to implement gun control, then you have to procure the sale of every gun, regardless if you're a gun owner, vendor, etc. And that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
And that's why gun control is beyond the constraints of federal law in this country.
Wow. Chris dropping gems, y'all. Chris, thanks for calling in again. We're gonna take it from here. But we
I'm about to go
appreciate
to
you.
Craigslist and see what's up.
You gonna go on Craigslist real quick?
I'm just gonna check.
And Jeff wants to know what Craigslist Chris is using. Chris is in Arkansas, I think he said. So you need to look up that one. But see, that's disheartening for someone like me who I'm a letter of the law and a spirit of the law. I'll admit it depends on what it is. When it comes to something as important as something that can take a life, I want the letter of the law followed. And so when you tell me that there's just no way any of the laws on the books will fit every scenario because there's ways around them, there's ways to skirt them, there are 10 people trying to figure out how to get past it, I'm just like, maybe the argument is futile, Architect. I guess so.
Hey, how you doing, John?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Hey. Oh, there we are. All right. How y'all doing?
All right.
Yay.
Good. So when we're talking gun control, and I love that that's a topic for discussion today. You only really hear about that disarming of the communities and communities of color, of our people. We want to control the guns in our neighborhoods. But what we really should be doing is seeking self-defense for our people. And I own several guns. I know people who are gunsmiths and they work on them. A ghost gun is not our problem. That's not the problem in our community. In our community.
Yeah.
Okay. So I teach and help people get their concealed licenses. I encourage gun ownership. I encourage gun ownership, especially in women. That's something we need to do, and we need to have an honest conversation that every Black person who is able should own a weapon.
Absolutely. That's what
Agreed.
we want to encourage. I don't know if you caught us earlier. It has been a long show, but if you catch us on the replay, we had some Black gun shop owners on earlier, and we had Fred Thrasher from the Survivalist Sisters talking about educating his daughters. He has 4 daughters, and he's teaching them about technical games and marksmanship. We had a really great discussion. I hope you catch the beginning of that. But you're right. That's the information we want to put out there. And now we're just talking about the topics that affect gun ownership and affect how we get our guns in this area, and especially how those laws that are in place do tend to be biased, do tend to want to regulate communities of color specifically, and then the laws that are put in place tend to be biased against certain genders, because then women suffer when we do start to defend ourselves.
That's true. That's true. But we don't need more gun laws. I mean, the book is thick on the regulations for gun ownership, but it's really a simple process. It's really a simple process. If you don't have a felony on your record, you don't have domestic violence on your record, you don't have child abuse on your record, you can own a gun. You don't have to have a pistol. You can own a long gun, a rifle, a shotgun. But
I know that's what everybody's been telling me tonight. You can just go out and get one.
Just go out and get one. And even at gun shows, because I attend gun shows a lot, there are background checks at gun shows. You can't yes, you can't just walk in. Hey, I want that pistol. And they put it in the bag and out you go. No, that doesn't happen that way. At least not in Texas. I'm in Texas. It doesn't happen that way.
Not in VA either.
Yeah, we're gun thick down here. So so you know, the myth that people are circumventing the system at gun shows, it's really not true. Because you show an ID at every point. There's call-in background checks. These are the same call-in background checks you use at the gun stores.
Okay.
So it's not like it's impossible. Like the vendors there are circumventing the system. And yes, private sales do happen. And I said it before. I have friends who sell guns to each other. If I'm not going to use a small 380 anymore, and I know someone who's looking for one, if you're looking for this model, I can sell it to you. But then I create a bill of sale, and that's still tracked. And still, if something happens to the gun, they're going to go to him. Then they're going to come to me and say, I sold it to him, 5 years ago. Here's the bill of sale. So,
right. You're doing it the right way, though. You're doing it the right way. You're on the up and up as a responsible owner. What a lot of people like me who are novices to this world and were previously just completely, shy about it, gun shy, pun intended, they are afraid of the people who are trying to get over. And that's what makes it so disconcerting when we talk to somebody like Chris who says, look, there's just too much going on for the government to put their hands on and regulate.
Yeah. That's true, but do you have that same fear about someone buying a car?
No.
But cars run over people every day.
Oh, you got me there.
Okay. You are more likely to get in a car accident than you are to get shot.
Oh, these days, well, it's toss up. But no, I get what that argument is. But at the same time, driving is still a privilege. It can be taken from you. Too many people are married to the idea in America that it is a God-given right. My rights, my rights. Driving is a privilege. They can take your license, you'll still drive, but they'll at least take it from you. You're out the system and they can lock you up for that. With guns, everybody's too tied to the idea that it is a part of them and part of them is an American. And anything less than that is to be less than American. And that's the part that's disconcerting for just regular folks like me who maybe just want to have something in the house and hope to never use it.
Well, using that same logic, you want to have something in the house and hope to never use it. Okay. You should also be proficient with that weapon that you've chosen. So you should be going to the range at least once a month. Mm-hmm. Getting your target practice in. Being familiar with that weapon, okay? Yeah. And as far as it being a right to bear arms, people say, I have the right. I'm American. This is America. I can bear arms. This is America. Yep. Okay, this is America. I have the right to vote, and that's taken away from you too quickly now.
So they don't want to talk. They're not ready for that.
So Which is more important, the right to vote or right to bear arms?
Oh,
So
honey.
They're both just important to me.
they're
Yeah,
both just
ask
as
my
important.
architect.
Equally.
Important. So
Equally.
Where's
you know,
Jeff?
I wouldn't spin my wheels worrying about someone who may buy an illegal firearm, you know, and you see it off the back of somebody's trunk in the middle of the street. Don't worry about that.
Right.
99% of the citizens who own guns own them legally. They
Listen,
bought
I
them.
celebrate. I celebrate when you're able to carry it open. It don't bother me.
Yes. Yes.
I celebrate that. No,
Yeah,
no doubt.
I here in Texas, to carry openly, you must have a concealed carry permit.
Oh wow.
So that means at least you had some training. The only
Right.
thing you can carry openly
okay.
here is a long gun, a shotgun, a rifle. You can
Okay.
carry that openly without having the concealed carry permit. But to carry a pistol on your hip or however you want to carry it, you need a concealed carry permit. So
Wow.
Okay.
it's pretty, regulated. So it's not. And as for the number of people I see carrying openly, it's not the wild west out here. People aren't shooting each other. They're not.
No.
It's not happening. In fact,
No.
crime. You would think about it. Crime would go down because if you pull a gun and going to rob a store, and everybody in that store pulls one back, throws three back at you. Hey, you got a gun? Oh, put that thing in the garbage, man. Look at this. I got a big one. It's gonna stop. It's gonna stop.
Not put it in the garbage though. But John, we love that you've called in and decided to talk to us. We hope you'll catch the early replay. Shout out where you train, or shout out a store in Texas.
Hey, I'm in Killeen, Texas.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there aren't any black-owned. Hey, there aren't any black-owned gun stores here, but there's a place called Guns Galore. Actually, the pawn shops here all carry guns. It's not what you think; they carry new guns too. There's a place called Marksman that carries brand new firearms. It's a gun store here. So if you're in Killeen, Texas, easy to find. My group is called Project Safely Armed. Come on out.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate it. And hey, try to get one of those gun shops open for you. We need more black business owners.
That's a whole other process, and I don't think
that's a whole other process. Oh, okay.
Process to own a gun shop. That's a whole other process.
All right, sir. We appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
All right now.
We know, folks, that it's been a long discussion. Some people are coming in and out of the discussion, and the replay is going to be very long. But these were a lot of great points that we wanted to touch on. And I know it was a topic that interested Architect, and I wanted his input on it. It's a topic that interests me because I'm a novice to it, and by no means an expert or have any background in it, except.
But you're coming around, Diva. You're coming around. You're coming around. Early on.
Well, like I said,
you used to give me a lot of heat.
I like that holographic 6 hour, like I said, but 6 hours are expensive. So I'm always going to bring it back to that cost. I'm like, look, like we were saying with proper carrying, I want to point out, and I don't know if Juan, if you're still awake, if you can bring up the photo or the link for the safety pouch. Now, I like this idea because I'm already like paranoid these days. I've had my experience being pulled over. It's a scary thing on a dark night when you see 3 or 4 cop cars pull you over because one of them thought you ran a stop sign or something, and then like 5 of them show up because they're bored. If you have something called the safety pouch, it is something that was invented by a young brother going to Loyola University, and this is what it looks like on your screen. You can go to thesafetypouch.com. It basically stores your credentials in one place. Now, it basically looks like a wallet. But what this does is, because the cops always want you to roll your window down, first of all, don't ever fucking do that. Don't roll your window all the way down. And I learned this when I first started driving. You roll it down enough to pass documents and listen to each other because they will reach in there and snatch you up any moment. But basically, you hang this on the outside of your window. It already has your license in it, your registration, your insurance card. If you have a concealed carry, it'll have your license in there. And you hang it on the window so that you don't have to reach for anything. Because most of the time, where are our wallets? They're in our purse, or they're in the glove box, or you're sitting on it, or something like that. And anytime you move your hands, you know they are already jittery. And you don't know what kind of day that dude's had. So if you start reaching and moving, you end up on the news. You end up a hashtag with the safety pouch. This young brother like I said, decided to invent this for himself. It's bright orange. So when the cops coming up to the car, day or night, they can see it hanging on your window. All they have to do is reach in, take the information they want, go back to the car, run it, and come back and put it in. And your hands never have to leave the steering wheel. That is for your safety and for theirs. It was something that he decided to put together on the website. They are $19.99 each. He had a lot of pre-orders. People were shouting him out on different websites, but it is something he put together. He's a person of color, and he wanted to make this for his community because he knew that it was becoming an issue when it came to reaching for documents. Now, someone that came behind him to do the same thing was a young lady in Baltimore. She put together the Dash Pouch. Now, hers is the same thing, and Juan, that link is also in the outline, and I don't know if we can bring that up as clearly, but this young sister invented the Dash Pouch, which is basically the same thing. It's an open billfold that you put on the dashboard. So when you see that they're pulling you over, either you take everything out real quick and put it in the Dash Pouch and put it on the dash, and roll down the window enough where they have to come in and get it, or you already have it hanging out and you can just slide your hand over to hand it to them. Anything that makes your movements less and less jerky helps your survival, because we have seen it one too many times. We have been traumatized by the visions of people just trying to follow commands, ending up dead for following them. So this is the young sister here in Baltimore that invented the Dash Pouch. I love seeing young people come up with solutions to modern day problems. If you want to support them, I really want to shout them out, not sponsored, for YouTube purposes. And I hope that you guys will take advantage of that and really look out for them. Like I said, the safety pouch is $19.99 on his website. Bright orange. This young sister put together the Dash Pouch. Yes, it is just looking like a billfold, but it's specifically designed to lay flat. It's visible. You can put it on your dash. The safety pouch hangs on your window. I really want to get one for myself to carry in the car. Because architect, like I said, I'm paranoid. I don't want them reaching in. I don't want to have to move my hands around a whole lot. So I think it just makes sense to have tools like this in our arsenal.
So on my, what I do is on my on my visor up top, I have a clip, and all my information's there. So I'm reaching up to the visor. My hands are up. I'm reaching in the visor. I'm grabbing everything from my registration, everything right there. You know what I mean?
I have one that's like I got from AutoZone like a couple years ago, and it's just a plastic billfold, and it has my registration on this side, my insurance card on this side. My license is still in my wallet when I get in the car. I need to start teaching myself. And it's sad that we do have to do this, but hey, I think all of us need to start doing this. I have to take my license out of my wallet and put it in this thing and keep it with me driving. If I need it, put it back. I have to start teaching myself to do these things because it'll help me stay alive longer. You know, it's inconvenient. It's annoying. You may forget your wallet in the thing, and then you end up having to go somewhere where you need your license. This is another one from notreaching.com for people with certain disabilities, because they are also being gunned down in certain situations. Officer, I'm autistic. Here's my driver's license, insurance card, and registration. Because there may be people with Asperger's, autism. Elijah McClain was an introvert who had a problem with anemia. It was the reason he was wearing a burglary mask, and he didn't like to be touched. So when they started grappling with him, he freaked out. They weren't listening to him. He ended up getting shot up with ketamine and ended up dead because they overdosed him on ketamine, not taking his weight. He was underweight, not taking that into consideration when they dosed him. If you have something like this, officer, I'm autistic, or I'm deaf.
Charlene, thanks for tuning in, Charlene.
Thank you, Charlene. I know we're probably past your bedtime. Please catch the rest of the replay and share it with friends. If you are autistic, if you are deaf, if you are nonverbal, and you are in the car or you're walking or something like that, something like this could help you. It could save your life. It could be something that a loved one may need. So I really suggest, like I said, this is just about information, that you get this for your loved ones. I am shouting out the safety pouch, the Dash Pouch, and notreaching.com. Those are things to keep in mind to keep us safe in a culture that is pervasive with guns and with the idea of having them. Because in the end, architect, it's about, if you're going to insist on carry them safely. They are not a toy. It is not for show. My best friend had a story, and we probably all have a story like this because I'm looking crazy. It's America, and especially in the South. She had a story where her parents are big on guns too, especially her dad. He grew up with them, hunted. He's the one that has like a trophy room. Like he's done safaris in Africa, brought home rhinos, and I'm pissed. So he has a gun room. And when she was little, she told me the story about how she had the babysitter over and they were in her parents' room one day and they weren't supposed to. She's about 6 or 7, definitely less than 10. So the babysitter is for some reason going through her stepmom's bureau, and she finds one of their guns because they had guns everywhere, nightstand, coffee table, all these different. So she pulls it out of her mom's bureau, and it's like the 80s or 90s. So she's like pew pew, and she's waving it around. My friend said she remembered what her father had always told her about being careful with guns. She went into the bathroom, locked the door, and hid in the bathtub. And I'm like listening to my friend tell the story. I'm like, why are you telling me this? Because sure enough, the babysitter shot a hole in the ceiling. And she heard it in the bathroom. I'm like, motherfucker, what happened next? So of course the babysitter like puts the gun back, and when you shoot guns, they're hot. So now she's singeing her stepmom's underwear or something, and she goes into the bathroom to get my friend, and she's like, okay, don't tell your parents. I'll give you extra ice cream. My friend sang when her parents came back because they looked in the bedroom and they're like, what happened to our ceiling? She's like, right. The babysitter shot your gun, and I hid in the bathtub, and she did it, and she told it. So of course she never saw that chick again. But the whole point is that this is what happens. Like people get a gun and something comes over them. They think it's for show. They're trying to point it sideways, which is something else her father hates. That's not what they're for.
Got a caller. What's going on, JC?
JC, what's up?
Yo, what's up? Just give me one quick second there. I need to mute my other screen.
Oh, sure, no problem. Let me take a quick drink here.
All right, sorry guys. Can you hear me there?
Yep.
All right, great.
Thanks for calling in.
No sweat. Looks like I joined the show late. You guys are about 3 hours deep into this conversation.
Oh, weird. It's been a long one.
It is. So what is it you guys exactly are talking about tonight?
We've covered a lot.
We did the Second Amendment. We did. We just got through talking about safely carrying your documents. We talked about stand your ground laws. We talked about red flag laws. We talked about domestic violence. We talked about purchasing, which I'm never going to live down because apparently I am not allowed to have a Louis Vuitton purse unless I get an expensive gun first. And we talked about pretty much everything.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. So I guess there's a lot.
There's been a lot.
Pick something. Yeah.
No, nothing. I mean, I'm pro gun myself. And I just think that there's a lot of discussion around, safety and about how to protect people with guns. And I think that from my opinion, a lot of it has just, I kind of caught the last part, what you're saying, but a lot of it comes around education. I think is a big component that, guns are something that are a part of our culture, whether people like it or not. And I think it should be something that should be taught from a young age. And, I think that when we look at our education institutes that we teach certain critical parts of, what it's like to be an adult or what it's like to be a part of a society. We try to integrate that within our education system. And I think it should start from a young age, to at least educate people on firearms at a young age to prevent the misinformation and disinformation that's shared. I think a lot of that information or the misinformation that's shared is probably just as dangerous as, as what some may perceive the guns themselves. Right.
Right.
So, education at a young age. I just seen a comment that came up and said, where are you calling in from? I can say I'm calling in from Canada. So I'm a Canadian.
Okay.
Our gun laws are a little bit different up here in the north than what they are down south. South meaning, southern North America.
Yeah.
So anything south of the Canadian border. I'm out in BC, so in British Columbia, so in the northwest.
Oh, okay. All right. I hate to be typical, but are you near Vancouver? That's the only city I know.
Yeah, that's a pretty good guess. Yeah. So.
Okay.
So JC earlier we had a gentleman. Was it Jeff Thrasher? Fred Thrasher. I'm sorry, from Georgia, who actually believes exactly what you do, and he has a few young daughters. They're Survival Sisters 3 on Instagram, and he basically has the same thought process you do. And he's brought his children up around guns. They know the ins and outs. They're cleaning them. I mean, and yeah, I think he said his youngest was 10. So,
Yeah.
Right.
and the purpose of me bringing them on was exactly because I feel the same way. I think it's not going anywhere. So what is the way that we approach it? And I agree. You started early, so they understand exactly what it's all about.
You know, that's the thing, and it also shifts this paranoid culture because, unfortunately, like a lot of people that are not aware of what guns are, even like there's like they have the wrong perception of it. And you know, in the U.S., there's 330 million guns in the U.S. I mean, it's not like they're going to be all banned tomorrow. Like taking the guns away is not the problem. Educating people on the guns is a solution to the problem that we have. There's a ton of other, you know, counterpoints that you hear people argue about. You know, guns are not, it's not a gun problem in the US, it's a mental health problem. There's a lot of discussions, and I don't really want to go down that path because I don't really know a lot about it. But what I do know is that everyone that's listening to this stream, and I mean everyone who has these discussions, we can all agree upon one thing, and that's public safety, right? We want to make sure that we have a safe community. We have a safe we have like a safe gun collection, and we know what we're doing with these firearms, and that all starts from the education system at a very, very young age. Like you said, right? Train people to be smart with guns when they're young, and they'll be safe when they're old. The last point that I just kind of wanted to make is that, you know, dealing with these bans, like I think the U.S. is a bit different because you guys have the Second Amendment, right? So it's right within the U.S. to own a firearm. In Canada, it's not. It's a privilege within Canada. So, you know, we had to go through a, you know, rigorous firearm training. There's 15 hours of training that's required for a non-restricted firearm, which would be anything that's, you know, like a bolt action, shotgun, just like your non-restricted firearms, like your hunting rifles. And anything that would be classified as restricted is an additional 15 hours. So for a total of 30 hours. Restricted classification would be your AR-15s, handguns, etc. So,
Right.
so what Canada does is it requires you to take those 30 hours of education. You need to be able to demonstrate the differences between the firearms, demonstrate that you're able to load them, unload them, safely store them, etc. And then there's a background check that's involved. And then once you're given your license, you're considered, you know, a licensed gun owner. And I think that's completely fine. To me, that's a common sense firearm requirement. And I know that the Americans,
Reasonable.
yeah, it's reasonable, right? The challenge I think for the U.S. is how do you institute that in the U.S. when it's a Second Amendment right, and you have people that believe that they should not have to go through those hoops and that they should have access to those guns?
So, you know, it's funny that you say that, because I will say that when I went to go get my concealed, in the room that I was in, and the people that surrounded me, I was not comfortable knowing that some of them, just based on the conversation and some of the comments that were made during that class, and by the way, that class was not 15 hours, was very short. And with what you're speaking on, I don't necessarily see anything wrong with the amount of training that you spoke of. In fact, like I said, I in my situation, I thought to myself, hold on, these people are going to be carrying, and based on some of the questions that they've asked, I don't know that I trust them to carry it. And so, yeah, I do kind of side with that thought process. I mean, I like to train, I like to shoot, I like, you know, but not everybody is that way. So I don't know what the overall answer is. But I find it very interesting, the information you shared and what's going on in Canada. It's pretty interesting. And I honestly, I don't think anybody can debate. You know, I love to debate, as Diva knows. But when you look at that, when you look at the training that you're talking about, I don't see anything unreasonable about what you're saying.
Yeah. No, I mean,
You
I would like,
definitely get pushback down here, though, because, like you said, people consider a God-given right to have these guns, any type of gun, every type of gun. And so we're too far gone to now reel it in. And I think that's where we are in the conversation right now. Canada, you had the right idea. You were part of the empire and you had a standing army. Down here we didn't. And so it was born out of that. And so now people feel like it's pervasive. So it's too pervasive now for us to turn around and say, okay, now that we have a gun for every man, woman, and child, let's do this with them. It's disheartening, like I was saying earlier. It's disheartening to realize that there are not enough laws on the books to cover every scenario we could have with every gun that everybody owns. It's tough.
And so I'm curious. I think that's, again, after hearing what JC said about the training, I think that's kind of impressive, actually.
JC, are you a sportsman? Are you a hunter? Or are you just like recreational with gun ownership?
I would be definitely classified as a hunter. I think self-sufficiency and self-reliance is a very important thing that, society lacks. We tend to fall back on these social safety nets that we've created for ourselves. And as a result of that, it kind of takes us away from this, self-sufficiency, that we should have. So for me, I'm a hunter. I, provide myself, my family, my friends, and anyone in my immediate area that would require any food or anything. I mean, I gladly hunt to provide back to the community.
Okay, what are you hunting out there? I'm not a big game meat person, so you wouldn't be able to help me, but you're mostly elk. Yeah,
I mean, we get, we hunt like all over the province. So I mean, when you head up north, you get into moose country up north. You have elk, you have deer, you have bison if you can get the proper tags for it. You have bear, you have waterfowl. There's a ton of different game that you can hunt for.
That's great, and that's great to hear. I know Juan is chomping at the bit. He'd like to ask a question he could have Googled. How pervasive are mass shootings in Canada?
They're very few and far in between. If I looked at, and I don't have the statistics here, and I'm sure somebody can probably Google it real quick, but I mean, there's, it's in double digits per year out of a country of 38 million people for how many gun-related deaths there are in Canada. So it's generally like a very safe country. Although Canada just went through a massive ban, and I'm not sure if you guys heard about that or not. There was a shooting in Nova Scotia back right around when COVID took off, and as a result of that mass shooting, the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, he kind of blanket banned all guns essentially. So he banned 1,500 guns, and they're all the fun guns, right? So anything. It's like anything that's semi-automatic, essentially, or variations of semi-automatic. So, for an example, you have, like a VZ. A VZ is like a semi-automatic 7.62 by 39. It's basically like an SKS. That would be on the chopping block. There's some variations of the Robinson arms because they're very similar in design. So the classification that he used was AR style, in quotation marks, style rifles, which kind of. Well, I mean, it's basically like anything. That's like saying like a sports car style. So anything with a spoiler on the back and some shiny rims is considered an AR-15 in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's trying to do what New Zealand's prime minister did, and really just try to grab everything in the net that he can, that someone would be able to use in a circumstance like that. I thought the last shooting I heard about was when that incel in Ottawa, I think, went on a rampage. He was using a gun and he was using a van to kill people. You don't really hear about them because, like you said, your culture is different. It's only 38 million people, very concentrated in populated areas. As far as police killings with the Indigenous and people of color, have you heard anything more about it since it's also been happening down here more often?
I don't think so. I mean, for me personally, I mean, like, I haven't heard many things. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not happening. It's just that within mainstream media, I haven't heard of anything.
No, and I mean, that's a good answer. Just because you haven't heard it doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because we have somebody from Canada on, we'd like to get your perspective on these things because we know how we think down here. It's interesting to get your perspective from up there about how we're looking down here.
Yeah, no worries. And, like I was kind of swinging that back to earlier about the education component. Like when I asked the question of, how do we kind of push that education component, then you have people that are going to push back the God-given right of, it's my Second Amendment. I shouldn't have to have training.
I don't think that it's just the people that believe it's a God-given right that'll push back. I think there is an extreme anti-gun sentiment that is also large in numbers in America. So you may even get pushback like, it doesn't matter what type of training. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have guns anyway. So, do you know what I mean?
Out there.
I hear you. Yeah, like my response to those questions or comments is basically, like within businesses or within our homes, we have smoke detectors. And the reason why we have smoke detectors is because it's an early warning notification to give us some time to get out of the house in the midst of a potential emergency. We're taught to, learn first aid. We're taught how to use AED machines. These AED machines are hung up everywhere because you need to initiate, the AED in order to, potentially save somebody's life because minutes matter.
Heart attack, yeah.
Right. So we have fire extinguishers in our home to extinguish the fire before it burns out of control. So we put these things in because we recognize that it takes time for first responders to arrive at the house. So what's the difference from having a gun in your house if we need to defend ourselves? We have fire extinguishers to put fires out. We have AED machines and first aid kits to deal with trauma. So a gun is just another tool to use just to wait for the personnel to respond to deal with that situation appropriately. To me, it just makes sense.
Told you.
Go ahead, JC.
Yeah. So, so like when I hear people kick back and say, oh, you don't need guns. Well, so essentially what you're saying is that we don't need these first aid kits in our house because we're going to have the EMS department respond. We don't need fire extinguishers. We don't need smoke detectors. We don't need sprinkler systems because the fire department is going to respond. Of course not. That's ridiculous. As long as you're trained to use those tools, I don't see what the issue is about it at all, right? I mean, again, law-abiding citizens are not the problem. It's the criminals that are the problem. And the majority of the gun crimes happen through the criminals, not law-abiding citizens. So taking the guns out of the law-abiding citizens' hands isn't going to mitigate or to stop the issues. If you want to stop the issue at hand, take the money that it's going to take to buy back all of these guns or to go through these gun reforms and put them into anti-gang units or to address the issues where the problems are at, whether it's a social issue or whether it's a drug issue or whatever it is. Put the emphasis on the problem at hand and stop disguising these issues as a gun problem when that's not the case.
Bam.
Well, I mean, you made Architect happy. I am going to push back on one thing. Everybody's a law-abiding citizen until they're not. So
well, I mean, yeah,
that's what worries me.
Yeah, but then they're a criminal, like you said. Then so you got to deal with them.
Dylan Roof got his gun legal. All these mass shooters got their guns legally. So I mean, I feel like it's you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. The more you try to control it, it's almost like the worse it gets.
Well,
so
we have a, and I'm sure this applies everywhere. In cybersecurity, we have a thing that says you can only minimize risk. You will never 100% get rid of risk. So to have that idea that you're just gonna be able to stop it all is very unrealistic.
Yeah, JC, you made really reasonable points. We really appreciate you calling.
I actually like the idea of the training. I think that training that is a great idea. I have no issue with that. I think that is a very logical approach.
But we're also a capitalized society. How much is that 15 hours going to cost? That part.
Yeah, like in Canada, I mean, in order to apply, you're paying about $150 for like a 2-day course, right?
That's it.
Yeah, that's all it is. I mean, $150 for 2 days, 15 hours. If you want to do the 30-hour course, it's about $300, right? So it's. Oh,
that's going to be like triple down here. 15 hours.
Yeah.
They'll get their money out of you down here, honey.
I don't see anything wrong with I mean, of course you'd have to work out the price, but yeah, I think that's great. I think the more you know, the better.
People will complain about being priced out of their God-given right. It's always going to be something. I'm telling you. It's always going to be something.
But that's why I think the
JP?
education in the school system at a young age, just because it's not against anybody's right, you're just providing someone with information that at a young age, put it back in the education system and say, listen, we live in a culture with guns. This is a reality of it. So here's how
NRA
you,
was built for that. Yeah,
you
you
know,
have a point. That's what they
here.
were built on. They had youth programs when they started out. They weren't so political. They were for youth programs, education, marksmanship competitions. That's what they did in the beginning. You're right.
Exactly. And I think, put that into the school system so that way you can kind of slide it in through the back door, right? I mean, you develop or you encourage and educate a population on guns. And as that older generation kind of phases out and you have this new generation that comes in that are not, intimidated by these guns. They understand what it's about.
Oh yeah, well they're doing totally the opposite. Don't even play Cowboys and Indians. Don't do any of that at recess because you'll get suspended and get sent home. That's how they're doing it in
It's
school.
government versus Native Americans.
But anyway, but
Cool.
I think JC, thanks for calling in, man. I think a wealth of information. Yeah,
not a problem. Okay, guys, thank you very much for having the opportunity to call in. You guys are doing a great job here. Everyone stay safe and
thank you.
Cool. See you guys later.
No, have a good one.
We hope JC will subscribe and follow, like, and share the stream, as we hope all of you have with Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. It's been a long one. And Architect, I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, I'm ready to take my ass to sleep. I mean, this has been
I know
fun.
you're sleepy and you're rubbing your face. There's really no wrap up, folks. Tonight, if you're tuning in for the replay, we thank you so much for everyone that's participated. I want to give a shout out to Fred Thrasher. He was with Survival Sisters.
Yep.
You can find them on all media, social media platforms. They are on Instagram. He and his daughters are being educated about gun safety. These girls can take them apart, shoot them, and do it all over again. So we encourage him. We also spoke with Roman Townsend and Dreek from Black Diamond Firearms and Training here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We want to thank them for coming through. We had a plethora of guests come on and have this discussion with us over time. It was a wide-ranging topic, but the reason that it was is because there was so much information to give everyone. We had a very respectful and informative conversation. I know, much to Juan's chagrin, but there really was nothing to argue about. What this was for us to discuss amongst ourselves, some like-minded, some differing, that it was important for everybody to exchange what we knew. For me as a novice coming into the gun world, for Architect as someone well-versed who tucks in his guns at night, for people that are just learning, and for people that, do have very informed and reasonable opinions from all over the world. We know we have international viewers who are in other countries. We encourage you to investigate the gun laws in your countries. If you are able to have your own firearm in your possession, do it safely, purchase reputably, make sure you train yourself. These are the important things that we're trying to get through to people.
No doubt.
Architect, we're going to go ahead and wrap up for the night. This has been Hip Hop Citizen live stream show. You can catch us when we feel like it on Sunday Special Report with topics that are hip hop adjacent and concern the citizens of the hip hop nation. This has been Architect 7. Tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook.
He also does spin and freestyle sometimes on, Mondays and Wednesdays?
So we've been doing a little bit of Friday nights. I'll just pop up out of the blue. Okay. So
we do pop-up shows. If you'd like to see more of a schedule, always comment, write in, and let us know what you would like to see and who you would like to hear. We are hip-hop based. We are the golden age of hip-hop, but we are always down with anything that is dope and new and fresh, so let us know about that. I have been Diva Views. I am the Diva, and these have been my views. And you can find me on Facebook at Diva Views Citizen. You can also find me on Instagram at It's Diva Views. My profiles on both are not lit, so don't come to be well-informed. Just come to be my friend. If you'd like to see any other topics for us to discuss in a shorter format, definitely let us know. Continue to like, share, follow, and subscribe us on all social platforms. This has been Hip Hop Citizen Live, ladies and gentlemen.